deactivate the switcheroo.
I did. Hello, Carlos. Welcome. Yokoso. And all that good shit.
Alright, hello chat. I see you there. Getting started early today. I can't sass you, even though some of you were saying hi before we were really here. Hello. Welcome to What's Up.
Yay.
Before we go anywhere, I would like to remind you this is to our patrons like Adam Harbaugh, Comics, Akizme, Arctic 10 Bucks, G, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Just LaFay, Jonathan Sandoval, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Razor Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Sean Pryor, some guy named Bob, Servant, Tank, and Baron the Crow. If you like what we do, want to see you more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get access to episodes early on. Some other goodies you may help us out. Thank you for support, everybody.
Thank you.
I like looking at that sound wave because the names are just one continuous wah 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 of me just rolling out. Then there's a beat with the breath, and then the rest of it. I got slightly louder on the second bit. But hi, hello. Welcome to What's Up. Lucky you sound better today.
I do. I slept a fuck ton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's fair. So you have slightly less sleepy Lucky, and you have traded in for whatever the hell's going on with me today.
Mm-hmm. That's how it happens.
Which
sometimes.
I don't think I sound too bad, but one, it's 7 p.m. and I'm already yawning, even though I also slept like a lot. Like I haven't even been awake that many hours.
Can I literally not have less than 10 players? Well, maximum. I would like to take that down to a solid, 3.
Well, is matchmaking required?
Well, it's not required. They have a solo mode, but the thing I'm trying to figure out right now is if I do a new game right here, it would just keep populating until there's up to 10 people. I'm all like, I don't want 10 people, though.
Can you make it private?
I'm not sure. I can invite.
I don't even know if I'm done. Because I saw that this is what you had scheduled for this earlier, so I went to download Tribes of Midgard, which is what you see on screen, but I don't even know if it's installed yet. It was a few minutes ago. But no, what I was saying was for me is like I said, I don't know if I sound any different today, but I do not feel super great. My head feels slightly in a vice. And this is after, all the usual medications when I wake up with stuff.
Okay, I think my game froze because I can't select anything now. Thanks.
Oof.
This is a game that I technically want to like, but is being a bit of a pain in the ass. So.
I feel that way about a lot of games, which are like, no, you need to play these with other people on the internet, and I'm like, fuck you. Other people on the internet are assholes. I don't want anything to do with them.
Oh man, you don't understand. Today I literally did my first multiplayer match, and I forgot to have my fucking controller muted. And so within a few moments, there's just this dude just swearing up a storm telling me to shut the fuck up. And I literally spent 15 minutes just telling him to suck my dick and fuck off and die.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say this is the one problem of the built-in mic and speaker in the PS5 controller is you have to remember to deactivate that shit. Otherwise.
And it took me and the only reason why I did that for 15 minutes because it took me 15 minutes to figure out how to turn off the damn thing. And then I just abandoned the fucking world. Alright. So I'm going to have to literally restart my fucking PS5 here. Because it was being a little bit of bullshit. So I hope you enjoy the darkness.
Darkness. But yeah, so this is Tribes of Midgard. It's one of the new free PS Plus games this month.
Yeah.
You don't remember... Well, Loth lives under rocks, so... I don't know if Loth knows anything exists, but when this game first came out, there was a fairly decent press push. I saw this featured on a couple of presentations and stuff.
Alright, fuck it. I'll just go with solo moto.
But, it's a survival game.
Ish?
Yeah, ish. You're here you go. You see right now. Lucky is a Nordic villager.
Well, technically, I'm an Einjar.
Oh, okay. So you are an Einjar.
Yeah, but you're basically
you spawned in a village.
Yep. My job is to My job is to basically defend it from hell things, which appear almost every night, and from giants, or Jotun, that appear and will just slowly walk towards the village. And of course, you have a little village here with like a bunch of little shops and stuff, and you have some defenses. You have gates, you have walkways and stuff, and you got to protect, the sea of Yggdrasil here with souls, which you get from doing just about fucking anything.
Yeah, so it's kind of a wave survival game, Very classic. I don't know if I'd call it tower defense per se.
It's almost tower defense.
Yeah.
Like I said, like this is a game like I was talking about. Like I want to like it, but there's just some things that just slightly kill me about it, especially when you start getting into multiplayer. Man, they really put that fucking camp right there, didn't they? Jesus. Like, this is like, a lot of, the multiplayer games of you just start with absolutely nothing, and you have to go run around to go find things so you can get the basic things so you can start making things. This is not well optimized, especially if you have, like, 9 other fucking people running around. It's very hard.
Yeah, and I assume the world is it's not instance because it's not supposed to be that way. So if somebody steals your rock, then you don't get the rock.
No. So it's constantly running around and stuff. Resources are kind of hard to get. Like I need to get rock and stone, right? Like, I can't fucking mine this stone, but I can mine this stone. It's like, I'm like, excuse me. Like, but like, I can whack down every fucking tree I see. I'm just all like, why though? Man, they really put a fucking lot of camps around me. Jesus. Okay. Oh. Like right now I gotta find more flint and, fuck it. Fuck this tree. Fuck that tree too. Fuck all these trees. Alright, that should be enough for me to make a damn... Ah!
I do not know if Lucky can make it multiplayer playing solo mode.
I mean, like, honestly, I think this is, like, I will fucking... God, and these guys are so flighty! Like, this is a game, like, I think I'd definitely have fun if I was playing with the lads, with me friends. But, like I said, like, I played 2 games. One was the, Oops, the tanker got lost out. The one was where, me and another guy just literally told you to fuck off and die for 15 minutes at each other. And the second one was much more nice because, like I said, I had everyone fucking muted, and I was just all like, we ain't dealing with that here. But everyone just kind of seems to run off and do their own things, and no one seems to be coordinated. Everyone just like, because like the map's pretty big. Like, you see, this is just right here. You can get some good zoom out on here. But I need an axe. I need more stone. Oh wait, I remember where some is. But the problem when you have a bunch of randoms though is everyone just kind of does their own rando thing. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm about that right now. I'm really not. Alright, I know there was some fucking... Well, there's iron. I need that. But I think the thing that kills me a lot about this game is it's one of those games of every new game you basically reduce back down to 0. Which is why, my character is in fucking, in like leather undies here. And I'm just all like, but why? So every time you start a new game, it's basically you get back to 0 and you have to do just the same thing over and over again. I'm just like... I'm not entirely what my goal here is, because they do this because this is one of those like I don't want to necessarily say games as a service as a thing, but it's one of those things of okay, I know there was a fucking rock over here. Where the fuck did
it reminds me a lot of games like Don't Starve Together specifically. Like a lot of multiplayer survival games are just kind of like that. Minecraft World shit like that. You just kind of make a world, put some dudes in it, and then you hang out together. There was Rust was very popular for a while in this vein. You could argue Ark is like that, right? Like
I might switch.
I don't really know. I haven't actually played Ark. I don't know if there's any like purpose to it other than just okay, new island, dinosaurs. We hang out together and build stuff, trying to get ate by T-Rexes.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot more depth to that. Like, because in crafting survival games, you usually have a lot of crafting survival.
Yeah, this one's not so, and I don't even think from the trailers it was built that way. Not so intense on the crafting elements. You think?
No, it's like you can upgrade fortifications, and where is that fucking... Like, this is the problem I have. I need to find stone. I am running around in circles looking for stone. There is none.
Yeah, you can't really fuck with standing stones. So you need, what, patches of raw stone on the ground?
Yeah, no, very specific. Like, not this shit. Excuse me, pardon me. Ignore me. Fuck all you guys. Like this. I need this specifically. Alright, now I might be able to go make me a fucking axe. Now I have to run from all these dudes. I mean, I could punch them.
Interesting. Why is it a deposit above? I guess so they don't fuck with the terrain height?
I don't know.
Can you jump in this game?
Nope. I can roll, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna guess that's probably why it has to be, like, rock sticking up out of the ground. You can't, like, lower or raise the terrain in any conceivable way.
Yeah,
despite the fact that there are just piles of, like, literally for this time period, this was all what we call cyclopean, no mortar. You just pick up rocks off the ground. That looks like a good rock deposit if you had a pick.
I do have a pick, but no, I can't have that one. Again, I'm just like, Actually, I should have played Core Keeper. Love mentioned that game the other week, and I played it, and I like it. I've been putting a lot of hours into it. I might switch. I don't know. Depends on how things go, but now I still don't have enough rock. I need one more rock. God damn it. I just want to make an axe.
Yeah, and and this is kind of why these sorts of games can be kind of annoying. Is you talked about how you were like, oh man, there's so many camps near me. So I assume that like placement of resources and other landmarks is like purely procedural, right?
Well, yeah, they have world seeds, so I'm assuming that has something to do with it.
You can massage the RNG, yeah, but that still means that you can get totally fuckled, and just not have shit you need handy.
All right.
This is also usually why a lot of these games, like with the crafting element, like the forest is another one, shit like that. You usually have multiple methods to get stuff. Like you don't even pickaxe rocks in a lot of those games to start with.
Oh,
you
shit.
just find a loose rock.
Yeah, so these are hell things. They're here to fuck up my day. But it took me so long to find a goddamn rock that well, now I got to punch him. I forgot to close the gates because I'm an idiot because I'm looking for rocks. Oh no, the Tinker's been knocked out. But no, actually, I probably will. Like, I don't know why, but I completely forgot that Core Keeper existed this morning. I don't know why.
Well, this is new and shiny.
I don't know if I'm calling it new and shiny. This came out 2021. They're in a new season right now. And like I said, I was interested. All right, get up. We survived another day. But basically, like, you go, like, give me an axe. Yeah! Alright, it's gonna fuck up some nerds. Because I need leather to make armor.
Important.
It is important. I need clothes. I'm running around barefoot, and my unmentionables are exposed. That's very, very impolite for modern society. So I'll take it from
not necessarily going to protect you from the hell creatures.
No. Fuck that thing, because I hate it. So combat in the game is pretty just base simple. You just run around, smash square.
I mean, smash.
Camps like this usually have a treasure chest. Ah, there it is. A treasure chest somewhere. Yeah. Got a health potion. I'll use that shit. And then you can tell, like, you know that the treasure chest has been used up here. Let's see here. There's a quarry there, and then there's that. Yeah, should probably get the quarry going first. There's there's little ancillary, like secondary buildings on the outskirts of the village that you can use to help with your production value. Like there's usually a lumber yard, a quarry, and a farm. Got to give them the upgrades. Which I'm gonna need more rock. Oh, now I can find all the rock. Thanks. Run back inside, put on some clothes. I hope. I could have swore this. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blind. Am I blind? I'm blind.
I mean, it's not like the overlay really gives you any tips.
No,
I genuinely don't really know. I mean, I'm watching at the preview window, so it's tiny. It's like rocks that are good versus rocks that are not good. Meh. They all look like rocks. Pants.
All right, I have equipped it. So no, if I could like have a game of just me and like, you know, two to three of my friends on this, I think I could have a good time. But just, you know, 9 other fucking randos or you know, me by myself, I'm just like, I feel like I'm missing my mark here on this game.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like an enjoyable experience to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel kind of like the game is probably meant to be played with friends, like from the marketing. I don't know. It's always like it's always a weird question to me what games think you should be doing possibly with other people. I know that some people are really interested in online games for the chaos factor, you know, like getting you know, completely random responses or whatever, you know, great tales of, you know, weird MMO stuff, griefing in games like Rust and other weird public server shit. But at the same time, I know loads of people who are just like, no, I don't do any of that. It's solo only or, you know, with a couple of friends, right?
Oh, well, I've been knocked out. Yeah, you know what? Fuck this game.
All right, it lasted 20 minutes.
Lucky done. Hang the fuck on here.
Lucky is literally done. It's dead.
Hang on.
Well, so while Lucky switches, I can talk about some more stuff. I was also mentioning how my head is exploding. Imploding?
You mentioned a vice.
Swelly. My sinuses are attacking me. They're strangling my cortexes. Unfortunately, that means it's a little sad because that means I can't talk a lot about Legends and Lattes today. I've read a couple of chapters when I first got the book, but I've been fairly busy through the middle of this week getting, you know, dunked on by production. But please, for the love of God, watch Prog this week. It's like 4 hours, please. Several of those hours are me. I'm in those games. Please watch them. They're very good matches. Watch them in chunks. We've got time codes. Done by our very own Marth. But yeah, so like, some of you may remember me tweeting at 3:30 a.m. Technically Thursday morning that I was delaying Prog because I was giving up because my computer was just being a slow asshole trying to upload it for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not for no reason. It was 4 hours, but yeah, it's just like I was trying to do the song and dance of uploading it after producing it, and somehow that slurped up more of my computer juice than fucking producing it. But anyway, it's probably because Chrome is involved. Chrome and my internet connection.
All All right, I turned off.
But yeah,
the
so
game
I was very
notes.
busy. I only managed to clock in a couple of chapters. I was thinking I would read some more today. I have not been in a reading mood today, though. I am not in a relaxed, reading mood with. Like I said, read a couple of chapters. It's pretty good. It definitely has those. We talked about, the what is it? High fantasy, low stakes is the tagline.
Yes.
Oh boy, you already have a whole ass operation here, huh?
Listen, I've been playing a lot.
Okay, that's good.
I mean,
But
I can
I
start a
was
new
very
game.
much reminded of that in the very first thing. We go to get the premises, the stables. So we go to the town, to the bar to talk to the guy. There's like a little bit of a tension tick, and then it's just like, ha ha ha, here, have it. What the fuck is a coffee shop? Bye. Like it's like you get a little bit of the drama, but then it ratchets down very fast to just being like, no, it's just business. It's not fine. Not everything needs to be so dramatic. Like it's very interesting to read a fantastical slice of life in a novel format, I should say.
It is.
I don't really have any in-depth commentary right now, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So, you keep into cores. What's the core keep?
So this is the Core Keeper. So this is by Pug Games. It is basically kind of a build as a top-down Terraria, and I can see it. It's another crafting survival kind of game, and there's actually survival. You actually have a food meter. You gotta eat, which I appreciate. But basically, you're on an expedition. I don't know what kind of expedition, but some shit was happening. And you see a mysterious object, and you're like, I'm gonna touch it. And it basically transports you into this room, right here. And then you have to basically go around, fight 3 bosses, these nerds right here, to power it up, and then you unlock more. Like, as you can see, this is where I am, this is where everywhere I've been. There's little biomes, like where I'm at right now is known as the dirt caves. Up here is known as the K-claves. There's the larva hive up there. Then we have things like the Forgotten Ruins over here. Like, it's a lot of stuff. But like I said, the game is good about the crafting survival. You love to stop. Behave. I actually need to fix this. Because yeah, some things are interesting. Like this is actually a feature I think is pretty fucking neat. There's monsters and stuff you can fight in here or whatnot. Orange slimes are passive though. They're your friends. They won't attack unless they attack you. Red ones, they're spiky. They'll fuck you up. But these creatures spawn by having enough of a floor type on them, like that orange slime floor right there. You put enough of it, just orange slimes will just spawn on top of it. I'm like, oh, that's neat.
Oh, neat. That's biomes in Terraria kind of work like that, but it's not. It's wall-based, usually tile-based, but it's not quite perfect.
Yeah, no, like over here, I got the chrysalis floor, which lets me spawn lava. Those are nasty motherfuckers. They'll attack everyone. They'll even attack my fucking slimes over here. I realized that they can actually hit through the fence here, and I was like, well, shit. But I've been working on, building, civilization amongst these fucking ruins. So it's been kind of thing, but it's the same thing. Like, you get your crafting tables, you get your armors and your weapons, you have neat little things. You can smelt ores, you can make railroad tracks. All the basic little crafty do's on here. Like, combat's not necessarily like anything. It's like you just have you just swing or you shoot fireball if you have a flame staff. You got your mining implements. You get to level up. Basically, as you do things, you get skill points, which lets you buy little skill points for little extra doodads and whatnot. You have armor, and then you have gear set things. So it's a lot of little things, and the game's pretty fun. It's not perfect. Pardon me. Like, running around is a pain sometimes, and I don't feel like necessarily the crafting is as robust as it could be, but like I said, it's a game in early access, and it seems to be doing okay. Like I said, I definitely carved out a bit of Civilization all by myself, and from what I understand, this game is multiplayer. I think you can have like what, up to 8 people play with you, which could be fun. This is my graveyard where I have died 3 times. Never forget. But let's see.
Yeah, I just added to my Steam wish list. If anybody heard me muttering, it's because, despite the fact that this is the machine I have Steam installed in, when I go to the browser version of Steam, just because it loads faster, I don't know, Steam's weird. It's like, oh, I need you to remind me what computer this is. I'm like, motherfucker, you were installed on this computer. It me, okay? Fine, send me the fucking code. I'm flicking through my discovery queue right now, see if there's anything cool. Mostly it's games I'm pretty sure won't operate on my machine, and a lot of early access Crafty Pants games.
I need to go get me some more tins so I can make more minecarts.
To my wish list. We'll get there someday. I still need to figure out what sort of Japoo to put in this machine and then actually like budget it out.
Yeah, so one of the fun things I think about Core Keepers is that the bosses are pretty neat. Actually, I thought one was actually very, very, very unique. I thought it was actually pretty cool. Unfortunately, it was also led me to be able to cheese it pretty easy. Where am I? Pardon me. Excuse me. But screw you guys. Die. Ah, here we are.
Oh, shit. Part of the Golden Week sale, not only are games on sale, but so are soundtracks. Damn you, Steam.
Oh, no. Yeah, one of the things I think is cool is this entire kind of track here, like you can see it, like going through here. This is actually a boss track. When you start the game, there is a boss that just continuously runs along this line. And it's like as long as the screen right here.
A very slimy boss.
Yeah. It's more of a big worm. There is a giant slime that you have to fight, though, and he's a bit
I kind of figured. I was thinking Dune Worm, but I assumed he had to be slippery, because boy howdy, is there a lot of orange goop in this tunnel. Yeah,
unfortunately, it's very easy to cheese, because you can get something called a spike trap, which, just does damage. And when it go over, so I just literally cleared out the area, put 60 of them down, and just let it ran over, and it died. I'm just like,
Interesting. So Steam is running a discount on the Ace Attorney Turnabout Collection Bundle, which is Great Ace Attorney and Trilogy. But PlayStation wasn't doing that. Because I should say, I bought Great Ace Attorney Chronicles on my PS5. It's installed. Because that'll be our next stream game after Skyward Sword. Which can't be too much longer. I don't have a final count on the dungeons, but it should not, because I've been able to keep abreast of Lucky through my own going back to Skyward Swording. And I'll have some stuff to talk about when we actually get in Monday, though it's very funny. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I actually got back to my own game in Skyward Sword. Right? And I realized that I didn't have the third bottle. I think I was down a couple of wallet upgrades on you as well, and I was just like, wow, I guess I just tried to push through story content a little bit, and it wasn't going anywhere. But I was able to wrap up some stuff, get back to things, get some upgrades. I also have a triple full upgraded Goddess Shield. It's nice. But yeah, Great Ace Attorney I am locking that in. That is our next one. And PlayStation was like, hey, there's 2 versions of this game. Would you like to also buy the bundle, which is also the original Ace Attorney trilogy? I did not do that, one, because it wasn't on sale, so it was full price for both, which is $60+ And while I wouldn't mind probably playing those games in my own time, I don't know if I would. First of all, for streaming, I don't know if I want to commit to that. Because these are visual novel type games. I already know that like Great Ace Attorney should be pretty decently long. I kind of hope we can, do like a case, half a case per stream. Possibly even going longer than my usual 3-hour markers, just to keep things contiguous. But some of those cases can be long, and I know that some cases in the original trilogy of games can be very long too. For the trilogy they added a 5th case to game 1 as kind of like a special edition grand finale, which I'm fairly certain case 1-5 is as long as the entire first game is on its own.
Wow.
So that's a big time commitment. Yeah, Rise from Ashes is super long. That's a big time commitment, and I'm like, I don't know if Lucky and me will appreciate these games enough to do that. Like, I've watched, a couple of people do playthroughs of the first game. MBT, the Yu-Gi-Oh streamer who's also been doing some Ace Attorney stuff, he's just started uploading game 3 right now, and I think he's in the middle of Apollo Justice as well, so it's kind of like off and on when he's doing his own standalone upgrade. So I've seen some stuff of this. I found some abbreviated videos of a YouTuber called Jello Apocalypse doing Investigations, the game starring Miles Edgeworth, and then he did the fan translation of the second one, Investigations 2, which isn't released internationally. Which, while those games seem entertaining, they also seem slightly frustrating and very padded. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna commit to like doing all the Ace Attorney stuff. So if we want to do that, like if you guys really enjoyed the playthrough and want to see us do the original games, because I feel it, those games are like over 20 years old. I think the first Ace Attorney was like 2001. So like I even without watching people play it, I think I knew all the beats just from like pop cultural osmosis. So like I don't know if they'd be interested in seeing us go back. I think Great Ace Attorney Chronicles is good because it's kind of standalone. It's a prequel sort of. It's set in the Victorian London era / Meiji Reformation Japan. So there's like some interesting things there, I think, for you and me to grab onto, right?
Right.
That's some interesting stuff. Might be interesting to our audience. I've talked before about how Herlock Sholmes appears as a character. It's Sherlock Holmes, but like I said, the
estate,
Doyle estate, isn't quite there. Yeah, 1 stream a week format, that's good. Like, I don't know, maybe if I get bit by the bug, I'll do it in like my solo time. But like, Jesus, it's rough. But yeah, I figured not a lot of people have necessarily seen it. It wasn't until the recent like bundles on stuff like Switch, PlayStation, Steam, etc., where Great Ace Attorney actually got exported. So I figured that would be a good jumping off point. It's 2 games that are self-contained in the block back to back. I have watched somebody stream all of the first game, but that was literal months ago. So I don't necessarily remember exactly how everything works. So that I think will be a good, break in for us and not go ham. And I will decide later if we want to do more. Because I got lots of other, big game series projects I want to hit out. But yeah. I have been listening a lot to the soundtracks because the Ace Attorney soundtrack is really fucking good. I think I talked about, was it on Monday or was it on WhatsApp? I watched a video about the musical formula, which is really interesting. Oh, yeah. The thing that gets me, I remember from that video, is that the Ace Attorney games have a different composer every game, basically. So there's it's really shocking how they keep these like strong musical themes, not in the literal sense, but you know what I mean, together and like hit all the same notes when they've got different people doing it every time. But it's good. It's a terrible shame that they haven't done like a rebundle of the second trilogy of games. I know those aren't as popular, but the soundtrack to Ace Apollo is fucking slamming. I also recently heard that apparently since like 2017 or 2018, allegedly Capcom has been working on an Ace Attorney 7. It just hasn't materialized yet.
Well, like I said, it could be one of those things where they're keeping it hush-hush. It's like actually, Omega, did you see those things I posted in games about Yoshi P? And
Yeah, I also saw you retweet those.
Yeah. Yeah, so apparently there's been some collaborations going on with Final Fantasy 16 specifically. You know, the latest in the number trilogy being headed up by our Lord and Savior Naoki Yoshida, who is most well known for his work on Final Fantasy 14, the online MMO that you see me play here on occasion.
Yep.
So we've had like one trailer for the game. That's it, and almost no news. But we're not like actually that bereft of news, because for some odd reason, whenever a Yoshi P goes on to like some sort of collab or talks with other people, he always drops some 16 news.
I assume it's probably just his like his 14 bones, right? Because like he's pretty communicative with the community for that, right?
Yeah, like not too long ago there was a Uniqlo collab, which is a clothing brand, where they had a Final Fantasy 1 through 16 collaboration, and he spoke then about how the game is almost done, like it's finishing up development, and that there's supposedly going to be, well, I can't remember the exact words, but he was basically talking about it. And then later, because Nier Reincarnation, the Nier themed gacha game, is doing a Final Fantasy 14 collaboration. Yoshi P was on there with I can't think of his name to save my life.
What context? Because I've got the tweet grabbed up in our Discord. The name quote of the person he was talking to is Saito.
Yeah, it's Saito. It's a guy that you normally see with Yoko Taro, but I forgot where I was going with that because I almost died. Basically says that they're supposed to be releasing a trailer here pretty soon, but he has to be careful about what he says, because the last time he said something, he got in trouble with the American PR team. Keyword, though, is again, for some odd reason. I'm just like, Yoshi P, you a bad boy, I guess. So, oh, let me eat food. There we go. Do I have any? I do have ground. I need to use it.
Yeah, so I've got the original quote, a note in a pamphlet for the 35th anniversary of Final Fantasy, which is, they're talking about 16, Uniqlo. The quote was given as, "We're in the final stages of development for a new numbered game in the series, 16. And then he talks a little about the actual, like, gameplay experience, it's going to be single-player focused, immersive story, blah, blah, blah. The exact quote at the end is, I think it's a very fleshed out story. For those of you who've grown up and realized the reality isn't kind to you and have drifted away from Final Fantasy, we hope 16 will be a game that can bring you back to the series with a passion." Their effect, which is an interesting. It definitely looked like 16 looks like a little bit more of the dark fantasy lean, but the quote then later is he's talking about the collab 1 through 16. Since he was working on 16, he had to talk a little bit about the game. That's the way he phrased it. And then he was like, "Little did I know what I said became big news," because that's the kind of thing we're talking about, right? Like, there's been very minimal PR for 16.
Right.
I believe it was during a State of Play, Square Enix dropped the trailer a couple of years ago now, I think.
Yeah.
Like in 2020. And that was all we needed, right? Was just like, no shit, Square Enix is making 16. It's Yoshi P? Okay, cool. And there hasn't really been a peep out of marketing since. Like, I haven't seen anybody blowing up, posting any new trailers or anything like that. But it's been mentioned a little because, like we said, Yoshida does actually regularly appear in front of people to talk about 14, which also had, big stuff coming out in the last couple of years. And, I don't know if he means that as, like, he felt compelled to talk about it because he's working on it also, or just, like, people are curious because he's working on it, they ask him questions. But it comes up in conversations. You know, he talked a little about it being close to development, and then it turned into bigger news. And then, yeah, like you said, the phrase is the America marketing PR team got mad at me again. I was just minding my own business and working during Golden Week, by the way. He says this when he got a quote-unquote real cold email that was like, hey, did you really need to comment on the game? If you did, then we could have collected a bit more info. What would you like to do? Yeah, so it sounds like the PR team was like, hey, did you mean to talk about the game? Like, if you were gonna, like, say some shit, we probably could have, like, done a PR push. Just, like...
No, it was like, last time we got news about 16 is when he was on the, I don't know if it was a live letter, but it was a Final Fantasy 14 stream, and they were talking with Yoko Taro, and Yoko Taro was just like, hey, I want to write for this, and Yoshi P was just like, no, you can't, we're already done with the thing, we're actually already done with the English recording, and people were just all like, So...
Yeah, it sounds to me like Mr. Yoshi P is just a guy who, like, when people ask him about these things, he just honestly talks about where he's at. And the PR team is just like, come on, give us some forewarning.
Yoshi P is a very genuine kind of guy. Like, he's
actually... I don't, if they're being cold to him, I don't think the PR team has to be, like, mean to him or anything, but I kind of understand their point of view, too, right? Like, it's their job normally to deliver this news and, like, this press push, and out here, the game director and producer is just, like, or the you know, the key producer, whatever his credit is exactly, is out here just like, oh, yeah, we're just done with this part, and they're like, dude, we could, like, go to news outlets, we could make this a bigger push, and it's like, no, he's just throwing out in casual conversation.
Nah, that's great. Well, I will say Yoshi P's probably been on. Yoshi P's been a bit stressed because of the lottery house bugs. Apparently, he's actually been losing straight sleep and a lot of stress.
I mean, the man literally just admitted he was working during Golden Week, which is, you know, that's a big holiday deal in Japan.
Yeah.
Several national holidays and days off. What would I'm trying to think. What would even be the U.S. equivalent? We don't usually have a straight holiday week, but it's like...
It'd be like if you had to go to school during spring break.
Yeah, it's the spring break week when usually... Obviously, adults don't necessarily get that week off, but often you can take that week off if you wanted to, like, do stuff with your family or whatever. Yeah, it's basically what it's like. Working over Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the man clearly puts in the time. I'm interested to see what they got for 16, you know?
Yeah, we don't got any news on exactly when the trailer is coming out, but they say that they're working on one, and it's probably going to get some news, you know, soon, /TM.
As you do. Yeah, I don't really have any, obviously you've been enjoying the cool keepers. Thanksgiving weekend's another good one, Carlos. Yeah, because that's Black Friday and all that shit. That's
I know, but here. It's like that's a weird thing. It's like even if they're considered like federal holidays, there's no like real incentive for companies to actually give employees.
Yeah, even then, it's like the Thanksgiving weekend is like 4 days. It's not quite the same. Oh, is there a Cobra Kai Season 5 trailer?
Oh, I'm slightly starving. You know, I should probably head back, cook some food. Oh, wait, here we go. All right. What?
Sorry, this is a very funny title too. I'm just, checking news articles to see if there's anything crazy going on. I do want to say, speaking of Square Enix, there was some interesting news over the past week or so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We've talked a lot before about how Square Enix is actually like a really big developing and publishing company, right? Like They had a lot of different wings. Well, they're a little smaller now. The Embracer Group, who owns, a variety of companies. I think they used to be THQ Nordic. So they've got, THQ, Gearbox is under them, stuff like that. No shit, they own a... Wow! Oh, I didn't even realize. Damn, they're big. They're the group that owns Asmodee, the board game company, which filters down into stuff like Fantasy Flight Games.
Oh, okay.
And apparently they got investments in Dark Horse. Deep Silver as well is another thing they're involved in. So they're going to acquire Crystal Dynamics from Square Enix, which means they're going to take up Tomb Raider. Also, the IPs will include Deus Ex, which is going to be interesting. Selling off IDOS and Crystal Dynamics. So that's it's interesting that they're getting a little lean.
Well, Square Enix is like plenty huge on its own, and if we're being real, while they tried to do some interesting stuff with the franchises under it, I don't think anyone was particularly blown away by it.
It's interesting because Eidos and stuff and Crystal Dynamics are tied also to the Marvel collabs that Square Enix has been doing, right?
I believe so, yes.
Which Guardians, obviously, a great game, a little underappreciated at the time. But since it's got up on it's gone to PC. I think it's been on Xbox Game Pass and stuff. People have caught up and realized, oh shit, this game is good. But they were kind of turned off because the Avengers game was not super good. But it's still, it's interesting to see the filter down. Square Enix is the butt of a lot of jokes these days because even this article I was reminded of about this is talking about how apparently they're going to spend some of the money in investments in their enthusiasm for blockchain, AI, and the cloud. Though I will say AI and cloud stuff still also pretty out there. I kind of feel in the year 2022, if you're a big company that's excited to get into the blockchain, you should have realized I don't. Because that's just anything. If I hear about NFTs these days, it's not even like an NFT drop. It's there was a scam or a shitload of NFTs got stolen or somebody went broke. Like it's there is no longer good news. I don't even know if people are making money in this. It's just it's a scam or they're stealing art or they've gotten all their shit stolen. So don't invest. There's nothing there. The AI stuff is a little interesting though, but it's interesting to see. But the reason why I chuckled earlier is there is another article. It's from pushsquare.com. The headline that caught my eye was phrased as multiple sources in quotes said Sony is buying Square Enix, comma, allegedly. Subtitle, but who knows, huh? It's like, wow, could you commit?
Isn't Push Square the satire site? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so. They're a Sony-focused release. Talking about new games. I guess 4 or 5 games. Deliver Us Mars. Yeah, no, seems good. There's the news about the game's basically complete Final Fantasy 16 trailer coming soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, they seem like a legit outlet. They're talking about Jeff Grubb and Greg Miller. I should double check in on it would be interesting, right? If that was why Square Enix decided to divest themselves of their Western studios, was Sony was like, "Hey, Square, we'd like to get into cooperation with you, but you own a lot of studios we don't want to buy." Like most of these things, I greet this with a deal of skepticism. There's rumors about everything, but until something is confirmed, it's it's probably more subtle. 'Cause there was a big hullabaloo about Kojima Productions. Like, are they actually Sony's acquisition? And then Hideo Kojima himself comes out and is like, no. They just own the IP. I'm an independent studio. I like Sony a lot. They give me free things, but my intent is we are an independent developer. You can also probably be pretty sure that means that Kojima is not interested in selling out to Microsoft either. But yeah, that's just a fun title. There was a sub thought I had in that other thought, and I think I've lost. Yeah, no, don't got anything.
It gone. Oof. I am a tired boy. Not drunk, though. Just regular tired.
Yeah, probably just groggo from stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Set up things in my notes that we have covered. Yeah, in my own gaming, obviously, you talked earlier. You've been playing Cool Keep where you shut off and stuff for the past 40 minutes or so. It is said technically we are showing Midgard. Make that Cool Keep save.
Oh, really? I thought I switched it on mine. I guess it didn't work. Weird.
Yeah, when I opened it, I double-checked. I even opened up the tab, and it said gaming, and it had nothing under it. So I don't know if it didn't, finish. Should be blocked in, though. He said that. Fresh shirt. But yeah, I have not really done any new games myself. I still have not started No Man's Sky. Not yet gotten relaxed space times. Obviously working on Skyward Sword myself. Not, a lot, but just a little bit at night. And working my way through Cyberpunk. I am fairly close to wrapping up my current playthrough. I have finally gotten to Act 3. The infamous Meet Hanako at Embers now looms over my head at all times. Every time I do anything. That also unlocks a shitload of Johnny-related quest lines, though, and other stuff.
Yeah. Which
I have been working on. Do believe I did all the correct dialogue options to access the secret ending. I will say, I kind of feel like I wish I did it because it was, cool and immersive. I kind of wish I hadn't done, all my side jobs before there, because a lot of the jobs that are access to this level have areas like, okay, cool, wait! I've gone to sleep 3 times. Why the fuck hasn't Nance called me? And I need her to call me so I can open up that other sub-quest that you can get really early, but you can't actually do until way the fuck later. I don't know. Thanks, CD Projekt Red. But yeah, I should hopefully be able to wrap that one up. Actually, move on to some different new stuff to talk to people about. But I was also busy this week because I finally finished Operation Starcourt.
Huge.
Yeah, sorry, I had to yawn there. Yeah, it's 80 pages. The final count, 80 pages. Which is about 5 more than I estimated. But some of that is stat blocks. Stat blocks can get very chunky. There's a couple of, keywords for some things, like shared qualities for unnatural entities and things. You really need to write the description, though, because a lot of stuff has its own unique twists or mentions. So, yeah, it's very long form. But, yeah. I posted my outline on Twitter.
Twitter.
It is technically the redacted outline. I removed the names of all NPC stat blocks, unnatural or otherwise. Because Starcourt's definitely, I definitely have a lot more NPCs who actually have names and stats who are human beings. Not something done as much before with you guys. I think in both of the previous operations there was one major named NPC who had a full stat block. In Bigfoot, I gave the sheriff stats, and then you guys were just like, I don't trust her. We're going to ignore her. And then the other one for Moonrat was obviously the Rat's Nest Adventure on our YouTube channel now. Check it out. That was Charles DeLune, as an enemy sorcerer type guy. So he got the full breadth. Everybody else is just simple stat lines, which Delta Green does do very well. The Handler's Guide is very good about giving you like very rough guidelines. Axe, stop about the book. It's not a book. Shut up. There's no more to it. I'm not writing anything more. I'm not publishing this. I'm not doing anything with it. Cease. Well, that's not entirely true. I'm debating how exactly I want to do this. I think when we're done with it, I've talked to you before about sharing it online. Mm-hmm. Just because it is a big, chunky, like, block of info. And some people might be curious about some of the details, because like I said before, I don't know if you guys are going to hit every little detail in here. It's not necessarily written to be that way. And it is not exactly like the Moonrat outline where there was, a haunted house in every room. This is not meant to be that way. So there may be some like subtler details or some stuff that, will just be mentioned in passing that people might want more info on. So after we're done, to avoid spoilers, God knows how that'll be, probably like, more than 4 sessions, I'm sure.
Almost enough.
Which is our that was our latest run, was 4 sessions. So, but like after that, I will drop it, and the question will be, I will probably, just for sake of easy linking, like post it on Patreon. The only question would be, do I post it for free completely, or do I make it like the $1 level and then just cross link all the audio, because that's where the $1 is also our audio downloads level. I'm not sure yet. I do want more patron drive, but I don't know necessarily if patrons be interested in that outright. I don't actually know what our conversion rate of people who download and listen to the audio is. So I will have plenty of time to think about that, though. Because, like I said, I won't do it until we're done, which we haven't even started yet. Because we're in the middle of Sprawl. Yeah!
Boy, howdy.
First half of our current Sprawl adventure up now. Gates of Babylon. In case you guys don't remember because it's been several months, my naming scheme for Sprawl AP is the legwork phase has like a, cheesy paperback novel title, and then the actual action phase is just the X job. This is the Crypt job. Mm-hmm. There was the Rio Grande job, the Hotel Nakamura job. What do we actually call the third one? The Canyons job, I think?
I think so.
Yeah, the Canyons job, and then this is the Crypt job. Because I'm a huge fan of leverage. And if you didn't know, that's their unique episode naming scheme. Every episode is the something job. So, yeah. Finished Starcourt, 80 pages, big chunky. Very excited to get you guys in here. There's all kinds of stuff in there. And if you guys are curious about some like preview stuff, like I said, I got on my Twitter. You can find me at Unit Omega Twitter. I posted like the expurgated outline document, all the stuff, so you can see all my funny section names, many of which I enjoy. It is slightly redacted, but that's to avoid spoilers. Spoilers. I also have some follow-up tweets. I joke about how it's brought to you by the letter M, but with some Zalgo text. And also, while I was powered through by a lot of things, dark ambient music, Darkest of the Hillside Thickets, some Ace Attorney music, I did, partially for the Sprawl, but I did find some vapored covers of some more music, and there is a slowed reverb version of Journey's Separate Ways, which was instrumental in me writing the climax and may come back as a reference, so I've linked that as well. Right, I talked about playing Cyberpunk. I forgot my actual note in my notes, which is just, I hate driving. Which is true. They said they readjusted the driving engine. It still sucks.
I literally try to drive as little as humanly possible.
Yeah, I don't really know what people were smoking about wanting more of the racing side quests. I actually don't like those. Mainly because I feel like every car turns like shit. Even if you e-brake, like, you've got a handbrake button. Even if you handbrake, you can't turn for shit. And obviously sometimes you can do the classic move of, like, you know, I'm pretty sure the way the engine is designed, I don't really drive a lot, and I've never driven it, like, high-speed racing, so I don't know how true this is with real life. But the, like, you know, you decelerate, or at least take your hand off the gas going into the turn and then accelerate out of it. That sometimes works. But unfortunately for, like, the racing side quests, you do occasionally have 90-degree turns, and I have yet to find a vehicle in Cyberpunk that does those well. Claire's truck, the Beast, doesn't do 90-degree turns well. I learned that from the Badlands one. Johnny's Porsche steers like shit. All of the supercars don't exactly turn. I'm just like, God, this sucks. Motorcycles really, I do think, handle the best. Unfortunately, you cannot use those, I think, for the races. There's also a lot of just, like, nonsense. I don't know. Car physics are weird, right? Like, I feel like no matter what vehicle I'm driving, I don't have, like, physics priority over any other vehicle, at least in the races. Like, every other racer gets to bully me. I can't bully anybody. They are a rock. It doesn't matter if they're, Luigi in the tiny Galena car, and I am driving, you know, an SUV, or, the Beast, which is just a, like, Hummer truck type vehicle. I don't get to push anybody around. And I think it might be exclusive to the racing quests, because if you hit any motherfucker on the street normally, like, you'll do some physics shit. I have, like, driven under cars in my Akira bike before, because the aerodynamics are fucked. But yeah. Speaking of a cyberpunk driving, though, that we're not mad at yet,
Yeah.
the Sprawl.
The Sprawl.
So, clock in some good hours with the Sprawl.
Mm-hmm.
I make the joke about driving because this was meant to be a couriering job, which does directly draw on our driver PC.
Mm-hmm.
Marth playing Squirrel, the driver. Who, you know, we've talked about this before, I sometimes feel like doesn't always have big interactions on the jobs.
We got a lot of personality with people.
Yeah. So this one, you know, drew on some stuff. You know, I like to break up the session into, you know, legwork and action, just because we do a lot of role playing. I don't think we actually get to the job until like 20 minutes in. Like, you guys don't even get the job pitch, because I like to ask world building questions when we start.
God damn it, Barry.
Yeah. Get everybody's vibes. Burden my players with the knowledge that there is a vapor cover, slowed down reverb of the Beach Boys' Kokomo.
It's a little wild in the worst way.
It's hella cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna finish up the Sprawl tomorrow. And then we're gonna play Delta Green. You're gonna be playing that for the next foreseeable future. If you want to game with us, you have to want to play games that aren't Star Wars. I haven't even started writing the Star Wars Siege for a while. I'll have plenty of time. Once again, 80 pages. Operation Starcourt. Though I don't know. I might, you know, we might have to take filler games if we miss anybody or anything. But yeah, Sprawl. Decent time. I think everybody had fun. We got everybody in. There was some low energy.
It was low energy, but I think things started ramping up, like, as we were going through.
Yeah, we start kind of sleepy, but as usual, everybody gets into the flow. You know, like I said, I ask the questions, I get everybody involved. A lot of fun little stuff.
Excuse you. I was looking at my map. Let's see here. So let's go.
We have a lot of discussions, like, on and off mic about, you know, the way the Sprawl is structured.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious if the second edition will ever come out. I've seen posts, because the game is a little old and doesn't, like, have any second edition and a lot of errata. I occasionally have to, you know, go to the depths of the internet to figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember, what was it? I think the other day you were asking me about, like, okay, so custom weapons are like the killer's thing, and I think also the tech, if they're a gunsmith, can basically get that option and stuff.
Yeah.
But can I just, and I can get a move, obviously, to pick whatever I want, but can I find weapons that have some of the stuff on this list? And I'm just like, Yeah, I think so. It's just that you have to pay cred for them. If you get the custom weapon move, you just have a custom gun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether you built it yourself or somebody gave it to you, whatever. You have your specialized weapon. But that required me to, you know, go digging around the internet to double check, and nobody seemed to really object. But I did see a couple of posts from the author Hamish Cameron about the hypothetical second edition sometime.
I wonder what they would change.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like a couple of second editions of Powered by the Apocalypse games. Monster Hearts is a second edition. I think Apocalypse World went the second edition, which like integrates some of the moves. In general, I think the flow is probably the same. The main thing is just maybe some of the way some of the moves work exactly with the math and some of the phrasing. You know, some of the stuff that's more confusing to people. Powered by the Apocalypse is really robust and pretty easy to grasp. It's just sometimes you might want to like change up some of the moves and options. We might actually get like I don't know, a second edition could rebalance the experience economy a little.
That's true.
Somehow. Could be a little cleaner with some of the stuff talking about like cred and other things. I don't think you need to spread out usage of clocks. The clocks are fine.
Yeah, there's only
I don't use
clocks.
the clocks enough, honestly. I actually did that earlier today. I double-checked some of my clocks and stuff. Because I found... I dug up a supplement PDF.
Oh.
Yeah, I can drop this. That's all. It's called the November Metric. And it is basically a setting supplement. It's just got a lot of writers chimed in and left their own ideas for settings in the sprawl. Whether it's... Some of these are just short blurbs, like just talking about the history of a place and, you know, like how it is... Oh, I mean, yeah, like that's not a question about progression clocks. That's probably just a question about, does the reporter need to exist? And if he does need to exist, can he be more streamlined and less weird? I should double check how I think they did some edits to the chosen parts too. That's not necessarily something to do with the progression clock mechanic. It's more of just like for a game that seems very self-contained and like, you know, one-shot oriented with the job structure and stuff. Doing certain characters a little bit the pusher, but especially the reporter is like very weird. I get what they're going for. That is a Cyberpunk standby. I believe that's one of the classic Cyberpunk 2020 character archetypes is media.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff with like reporters and shit like that. But it's still like weird. As evidenced by the fact that I don't think anybody in our group has ever like looked at the reporter and not gone, man, this guy's weird.
No, everyone's gone, looked at him, going like, man, this guy's weird.
Yeah, like it's the standout one, and not like Apocalypse World weird. Like Apocalypse World, you know, because they had like it was so long running. I think before you even got a second edition, and there were like Kickstarter bonuses and charities and stuff. That's got some weird playbooks, like, you know, the Hoarder, you know, the Quarantine, the one where you're a fucking psychic dolphin in a powered armor suit. But it's Apocalypse World. Those are just, you know, part of the zany thing. The reporter is just like, how the fuck do I even... But anyway, November Metric is a supplement PDF that has a lot of settings in it. Some of them come with more concrete descriptions, like they actually have corporation names, threats and fronts and stuff, and like threat clocks. Some of them have whole-ass new mechanics.
Oh.
There's one set in Paris which introduces a new stat called Honor. And you can roll it in certain ways. There's like a free-running special move because, you know, le parkour, stuff like that. And kind of like how that interacts with basic moves. It's very funny. There's a... I should go over it with Dallas to actually use any of this stuff. There is a setting for New Orleans. And it does include new moves for pushers and some other stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Well, yeah, it's... the whole, like, the Paris thing, you know, City of Lights, it's like neo-swashbuckling. Like, operators are, like, part of a whole, like, neo-aristocratic subculture. One of your threats is a guy called Henri X, who wants to get declared King of France. Literally, that's his agenda clock. Yeah, so it's like it's doing a whole like different take on the genre, which is why it's in this book. But the New Orleans one like straight up has like contacting the lowest spirits and creating like a fetish, a totem, and imbuing it with juju, which is kind of what Dallas's like. It's not as mystical. There's more tech to it, but that's kind of where Dallas is as the pusher. Like he's talked about, he has that a lot of those Creole influences. He's got a backstory related to the New Orleans Free City we've talked about. So I should let him take a crack at it and see if he's got any input on that. But it was just really interesting. But a lot of the example like threats and threat clocks made me think about like actually like fleshing out a little bit of that. So I went over and double checked some of my threat clocks and stuff, which are pretty interesting. I'm not in the mood to add more threats. But because we're already juggling a few of those. But yeah, you've got some of those out there. I believe the existence of threat clocks is public knowledge. I will say the idea of threat clocks as public is maybe something we could get clarified in a second edition. I get that threat clocks are supposed to be semi-public, like I am supposed to like ominously bubble in the next segment when a clock goes up. Even though you're not supposed to say explicitly what moves you do. But you guys aren't supposed to know necessarily what every level of the clock means. Like, obviously, for corpo clocks, those are all kind of in general. If you get to midnight, that's bad news.
Bad news bears.
That's you are in the full shit list. But different corporations have different levels. Like, what Northwest Industries does at, an hour to midnight will be different than what Stone & Sons does at an hour to midnight, right?
Right.
So, knowing exactly how those guys will react is not necessarily the same, but at the same time, that means that I have to have 2 copies of every clock. Like I have to have one where I just bubble it in, and then I have a separate page where I wrote down what the threat clock does. It's a little weird.
Well, actually, you can't. Again, sometimes you have to pile on the clock, especially when the PCs are being fucking weird and or dumb.
Also, I mean, this is just this is the Powered by the Apocalypse. Like, if the clocks keep ticking, the clocks keep ticking.
Yeah.
That you guys probably, if the clocks are bad, that's probably because you guys should have been doing some shit you should not have been doing. You have been fucking with some people, or you have been taking risks in the job or something.
Yeah. Putting out a lot of money or...
Yeah. And also, you guys have been like, I really want to buy stuff rather than buy safety, so we're not going to pay off the thing that reduces everybody's clocks by 1, right?
I do like stuff.
Yeah, I know. No, at no point I think has anybody ever been for the lay low move because it's very expensive. And who knows? Maybe, like I said, a second edition could balance that out a little. But like at the same time, nobody has been concerned enough. So if you stumble into this problem, that is your fault.
I mean, I'm concerned. I'm gonna go punch a fucking clock.
Yeah. But for threats, like, if I give you like track of the clock. Do I tell you exactly? I guess I tell you. You know the name of the threat. I think you guys know all the threats' names. I can go over them as well if we want.
I remember Marco Girardo and the Bloody Leaf.
Yeah,
those are the only ones that I remember.
Well, every clock is a campaign wide. Well, other than the action and the legwork and the action clock are per job, but every other clock is technically campaign wide. But you guys have ways to interact with them. But like I said. I don't actually know if threats are supposed to have like hidden agendas or what, or if I'm supposed to tell you why this threat is a problem, because I feel like that might be too on the nose.
No, I think it's fine to say like, yeah, no, this corporate. If someone's asked, you can be like, yeah, this corporate clock says at 2200. You don't have to let people know what the corp is planning to do to your guys, or if there's been some moves to figure things out.
Well, and I'm specifically thinking about threat clocks, right? Because threats have agendas. That's part of their thing. When they get to midnight, they are acting on fulfilling their agenda. So, like, when the Bloody Leaf hits midnight, you don't know exactly what they're going to do, but it's probably going to be about reclaiming Vancouver or getting back at Pacifica or something. And obviously, like I said, the fact that the clocks are supposed to be public knowledge because... The author really wants you as the GM to be able to go over and literally flick up a clock ominously, but that, first of all, doesn't work in the year 2022 of virtual tabletopping, but it's a little awkward. if you guys ask, I would tell you, and I would let you know if clocks are big. And the threats I have written down, and like I said, I don't think we need to go ham on new threats, is we have the Bloody Leaf. Claymore pretty much guaranteed that that's going to be a recurring thing last time. I did not intend them to be a recurring threat, but the way that... I think you literally rolled a 7 and 9 on something, and I'm like, okay, that's a threat. Yep. They're a threat now.
Yep.
There's the canyons. The canyon is a place, is a threat. It is a ongoing system of, perpetual poverty, high crime, and, illicit outputs that profit off human misery with its own internal politics that is constantly trying to suck you in. That one's at 1500, by the way. That clock is starting to move. Marco Gerardo is a threat because you guys had really interesting responses to him. If I can get away with it, that guy doesn't even have a threat clock. He exists. He has a harm clock. That's what's special about him. He's got a full clock. It's not how NPCs go. No, Axe, okay. It depends on how you define corporate clocks, but if you're making 6 fucking threats in a campaign, I want to punch you if you're an MC. Like, the piece... I get you're supposed to create threats to, like, keep the PCs involved in the world, and I have absolutely done that, because Marco Gerardo obviously was kind of, like, minor, but I came up with the concept of the canyons as a police-type threat to work into a job I came up with. One of your threats is Rook. That is the guy that used to be friends with Squirrel, but then got burned on the Northwest Industries job. Claymore left him for... He got left for dead twice, basically. Squirrel left him for dead on the job, and then Claymore left him for double dead on the cleanup of the job. He didn't die, though. He lived, bitch. So now he's double mad at you. And, allegedly was financed by Northwest to figure out what happened to you. And then your last threat is Thul Corporither. The Steel Body Knights, which is a security company from the EU who you guys bumped into on the Nakamura hotel job. They're trying to, get a foothold in NA. And while they've got some other stuff there, I think what would happen if their threat clock maxes out is it's not like a big explosive thing where they murder you all. I'm just like, no, they're just a full-blown corp now. They are just they have a full-blown corporate clock. They are here to stay. But obviously, some of these threat clocks are, painfully easy to scratch out. If you guys murder Rook again and make sure it sticks, that's it. That threat's gone. He's dead. It's taken care of.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But this is one of the ones that I am curious about. It's how do we actually lower clocks? Corporate clocks, you have to lie low or retaliate.
So I don't believe specifically. Let me check if there's anything about lowering clocks. Period. Again, it's an RPG book. The format is not, always the best. 91 instances of the phrase clocks in here. Let's check countdown clocks.
That's a lot of clock.
Countdown clocks. Advancing clock when the clock strikes midnight. Countdown clocks has story arcs. Types of clock. Harm clock, mission clock, corporate clock, threat clock. It ends. I love it. Perfect. I love how this is formatted. Advancing a clock when the clock strikes midnight. Types of clocks. Full stop. So, no. I do not believe there is explicitly any rule about reducing threat clocks. It does say, whereas corporate clocks are heat clocks, basically telling you how long before the corporations get, really agitated at you. They start vibing. Threat clocks are progress clocks. They're progressing towards some outcome unless you prevent it. See threats. So we go to threats. Associated move. A threat clock. Consequences. Describing a discussion crit. Opposition to... I do want to say, if you're making a lot of meta plot clocks, threat clocks, you're doing it wrong. A threat can be any kind of opposition to the character's activities that is important enough to warrant a significant description. At least partially independent of corporation, like they're relevant to the characters' lives or multiple. So again, if you're doing anything that doesn't have absolutely anything to do with the PCs, you're doing it wrong. I feel like Axe has too much blind trust in what people on the internet do. Read the book yourself. But the main thing I think they said earlier is that you can advance... Yeah, threat clocks advance the same way as corporate clocks. If a move says to advance a corporate clock, but it's more appropriate to advance a threat clock, do so. during the retaliation phase, you can do it as there. There is, once again, the game really doesn't seem keen on you reducing clocks. Again, I don't know if that's because this game isn't really made for like I don't know if the game is actually like intended for you to do this, because it is cyberpunk, obviously, right?
Right.
You know, you might actually like melt the fuck down and like explode and die, because that seems appropriate. You know, Cyberpunk 2077 has a lot of those themes, you know, burnout, die young, all that stuff. So I don't know if necessarily the author even intended you to be able to actually do anything about clocks ultimately. There's reference to them stopping. I would say because they are marked as behaving the same way as corporate clocks. I don't know if Lie Low specifically says. Let me double check if it mentions threat clocks explicitly. But otherwise, I would say anything that could reduce a corporate clock could, if it was more narratively appropriate, work on a threat clock, because they say that it works that way for advancing threat clocks. I assert that, therefore, by the transitive property, you know, A equals B equals C, you could also reduce them anytime you could reduce a corporate clock. So hypothetically, you could do jobs to reduce threat clocks. You could do like reducing them through moves and other stuff, or just, you know, work the thing. So retaliation. Hello. Lower all corporate clocks by 1. So I think that could lower all narratively appropriate threat clocks by 1. Like, there are some threats that are not necessarily gonna lower a threat clock by lying low, right? But other clocks definitely will not be agitated by you guys vibing.
Vibing.
And obviously for like, because again, I think this would be public knowledge. There's 4 types of threats. One of which I haven't used like at all in this game because it's hard, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen it used some in November metric, but the 4 types are groups, loners, places, and headlines. Headlines is the one that hasn't been used. A threatening circumstance. Unfortunately, a lot of these have to do with the kind of themes we are explicitly not really jumping head into. The examples include stuff like a viral agent, an environmental problem, a pandemic, a Grey Goo disaster. So it's like, okay, so it's, you know, environmental ongoing issues that work out there, and we could kind of have some of those like social movements, but at the same time, that's kind of not the themes we've been going on. So, it may come up, but for now, I haven't hit on a actual good theme to get in there. The canyon is a place. We have a couple of loners and a couple of groups. I have yet to figure out how to do a headline thing that makes sense for us, despite us doing a lot of world building.
I'm guessing a headline is just basically some world event that is just happening and is just ambient.
Yeah, it's problem. You know, like they said, it's something that's going on, a threatening circumstance. You know, something a happenstance. Let's see. You know, goals: to poison, to expose, to explode, to impoverish, to implicate. So I can see like how headline works. It's just for our themes in the Singularity War setting. I have yet to hit on like, yes, this is the thing we'll hit up. Like, I guess I could make up some shit that's important to you guys if I really wanted to force a headline. The Sprawl is very casual, right? We do it every couple of months. We show up for a couple of jobs. We've had 4 people. Aaron has a fairly fleshed out character that I think he's got his picks for an infiltrator. So, you know, we're talking about for next job adding a new guy. But I I don't necessarily feel the need to like hammer down and keep inventing new threats because you guys will make those up on your own. Your own foolishness will stumble into further problems.
Yes. I'm excited for more problems.
No, corp plotting a takeover or merger is just a corp clock. No, like all the examples are like literally. I can read everything. A headline may be a viral or mimetic agent, an environmental or social problem, a spreading cloud of chemical waste, a mutating pandemic, a great goo disaster, an urban drug or SimSense problem, a subsentient computer virus, a decaying space elevator cable, an impending orbital crash. Describe what kind of headline it is, blah, blah, blah. Like, a headline is something is going to happen. A circumstance. There are, it might be human caused, but humans don't drive this agency. It's not controlled by anyone. It is
clearly we need
happening.
to have a huge storm. The storm of the century.
Yeah. We could do that. I kind of feel like the way we set up the setting, it's a little bit like one of the themes some of the players wanted was not necessarily to go super ham on the ecological disaster aspect. Like, we even talked about that last night. We did a lot of world building. And we can talk about that too. Where would be a bulk of what we talk about.
Yeah.
But that like there was definitely an environmental clawback. Like there was a taking back. So again, like I said, I could think of ways to work this in. I mean, I think you even have a bullet point kind of about it because you bought some Stone and Son cyberware and had to pay for the substandard shit.
Yeah.
Like, it could be like, oh no, there's a product defect in Stone and Son cyberware, which is causing people to explode. Is it deliberate or malpractice? Mwah. But that might be like a little overdramatic, and also, given the nature of some of the player characters, would require like immediate intervention. Dallas even has a protective motivation about this. Like, that's the kind of thing where if I introduce that as a plot beat and let the players know what's happening, it will quickly turn into, well, we have to do something about that, right? Which I think is the point of some of the threats. It's just, I don't necessarily want to, like, completely derail the plot, for lack of better terms. Not a plot, but, we have our own kind of meandering direction. Stuff is building on stuff as you guys interact with the world. I don't necessarily want to derail the plot or the jobs or make you feel like you got to do this extra shit to deal with threats, unless you want to.
Well, it could also be
like
we said. Well, I think we. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Like, I'm pretty sure we can still get some of the socio-political things on there without going too crazy. Like, God, like, I don't know about like where you are, but man, over here in Pacific Northwest, we riot for everything. Well, not riot, but we know we do protests. It's like, that seems like something that could...
Yeah, this is Florida. You melt that. There was some stuff, though. But no, it's definitely... that would probably be a pretty key thing. We've even talked about protests going on. That can be in the meta plot. I kind of feel like the proper socio-political stuff, like, I feel like even outside of world-building jams we've done recently, I feel like the politics of the Singularity War are fairly well fleshed out. Like,
I think so.
I took my time to design the map of kind of, the fractured U.S. and work out where everybody is and what they're like, so that, like, we can work on, like, metaplot stuff and strong relationship. Like, we established very early on in the very first job that the Republic of Texas existed, and that like they were a big rival to Pacific, competing over like the Arizona Free Economic Zone and the Colorado Territory. And through that I kind of figured out, okay, so there's some other groups, in the Northeast, United States of Great Lakes, Commonwealth of New England. Those guys are probably politically aligned with Pacifica. It's just they can't, because the South and the Midwest exists between them, they can't be the same nation anymore, so they're separate but allied, Mm-hmm. And they would have different cultures, I do not think that, like, for instance, Commonwealth would have the same sort of Asian immigrant culture that is big in Pacifica. They probably have their refugee wave probably comes from like Eastern Europe, the Nordic states, that kind of stuff. Maybe North Africa or wherever else, right?
Right.
Because I suspect strongly the refugee crisis issue was probably a big thing in the fracture of the U.S., not just for Pacifica, from the Japanese exodus, but just in general. Because, as we discussed, the continental United States is probably pretty fine after World War III.
Mm-hmm.
I do not actually see anybody getting up the stones to invade U.S. soil, right?
Right.
Or if they did, it would be the Ruskies like attacked Alaska, which is not even separated slightly. So there's no major war damage in the North American continent. There's some minor stuff. There were some scuffles we talked about from the fragmentation.
Yeah.
There would have been some famous battles for our current political scene to be annoyed about still and remember. As you do, you got to build that backstory. But there would be no nukes, no carpet bombing of urban centers, none of that stuff. No slash and burning armies, any of that. It's all just whatever. So while there was environmental problems, there would have been a crawlback. This is probably why Great Plains is kind of a weak state, but could be growing. The Great Plains Alliance, because a lot of that land was probably fuckled in the environmental crisis, but corpos got in on the bottom floor and have slowly been revamping America's breadbasket.
Putting all them... Getting all them easy grow crops going.
Yeah. Slowly working on replenishing the water table by virtue of shooting anybody who waters their lawn. Also, I mean, we turned Arizona into a corporate warfare hellscape. So those guys those retirees are no longer leeching your water table to get green lawns in a desert. I'm not saying we should disown Arizona and turn it into a war-torn hellscape. But I'm just saying, if Arizona was depopulated, we would have less water problems in this states in the future. You don't need a green lawn in Arizona. Let it die.
It's Arizona, y'all.
You live in a literal desert. It is not supposed to be wet. Stop trying to make it wet. You got to suck all the water from everywhere else. They need it. The Midwest water table especially needs it. That's where we grow our food, guys. I mean, LA at least is a little different because there's mountains behind them. Water does hypothetically flow down those. We haven't really, because we're set in the major setting point for us, though we can occasionally navigate to areas around is the San Francisco Bay megacity area. The Bay is huge and actually has like 4 or 5 important cities. All just cannibal. God knows what cyberpunk LA is like.
Oh, I don't even want to know. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, probably. Or hip-hop, more like.
I've actually been thinking about writing some... Because I dug up some old NPC names because I reformatted my NPC the way I tracked, NPCs that aren't corpos and stuff.
Yeah.
Like actually breaking out your contacts into a separate box and writing down whose contact that is. Because technically, you do not share contacts.
Ah.
Players declare a contact for you. You do not declare a contact for the group. Now, if you wanted to introduce people to contact, that might work. But I might do a -1 forward because this person doesn't fucking know you or something. Which you could probably offset by trying to help or interfere. Who knows? But I've been thinking about world building with future music stuff because I talk a lot about the radio and musical accompaniments and stuff, but I wonder if I need more defined words for genres and things. But I can roll back to that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, headlines is an interesting one. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap up the sprawl job. tomorrow, probably, assuming everything's go well. Knock on wood. And if that doesn't take forever, we can integrate Aaron's character, like actually do links and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with a new corporate job. You can piss off somebody else. To remind myself how the links phase works. We can, we'll sort all that shit out. But in general, we do a lot of world building for 30 War. Like, Lucky likes to ask me both mechanical and lore questions.
Mm-hmm.
I frequently derail episodes with world building questions.
Yeah.
I've talked about a little bit with some of these, but I actually have 2 next job ideas in my brain.
Oh.
It depends on what you guys want to do exactly, because because one of the things we talked about with the clocks, right, is that some of you are concerned about Northwest.
Yes.
Pacifica and Northwest are both at... Ooh, I'm scrolling from the bottom, scrolling up a lot. They're both at 2200, which is 2 hours to midnight. And midnight is bad. Dealing with Pacifica is probably a little weirder because, like, you guys haven't really discussed how your team has conflicting loyalties. And, like, Squirrel is a freelancer favored by Pacifica. It's very funny. Everybody in our group, though you're all technically freelance operatives. By the way, came up with some fun slang for that today. Because, you got all these names like Shadowrunner, Edge Runner. I don't know who the fuck... Why are we saying runs? Who's running in the future?
Well, you gotta...
like that.
Actually, I'm trying to remember where the original nomenclature came from, but I can't remember. Running the shadows, but...
Probably? I mean, I assume Gibson?
Probably.
Most everybody stole a lot from Gibson, but that was written in, like, the, 70s and 80s.
Gibson, writer of Neuromancer, the world's probably first actual cyberpunk novel. I actually need to read it.
Yeah, I haven't read it in full, I think, ever. I'm a huge fan of Snow Crash, but that's arguably, like, post-cyberpunk. Also weird, because Neil Stephenson is... But, in Snow Crash, our literal protagonist, Hiroki protagonist, calls himself, last of the freelance hackers. There's not really, like, a special job term for what he does. He's just a guy. We do have courier with a K, but anyway. I came up with an idea where, operators outside... I think operatives is occasionally used by the text of the sprawl, but not universally. Mm-hmm. I figured operators would be called, outside of the corporate government structure, would be called cons. Short for constructor, but sounds like convict. Or temps. If you're being polite, you call them a freelancer. Freela or a lancer. If you're trying not to be an asshole, but a lot of people just probably are like, temps, cons, that kind of stuff. Because that describes what you guys do.
Makes sense to me.
Spec work, contract. But you all have different corporate backings.
Yes.
So, Squirrel's neural stuff is sponsored by Pacifica, and he still does a lot of jobs for them. And you guys have not really openly discussed, because that would require talking about your feelings, as opposed to talking about getting paid and killing people, which is mostly what you do. Even though one of you is the pusher, and he should probably talk to you more about social things anyway.
Hey, I talk plenty about my feelings and about how I don't appreciate people getting in my business.
Yes, no, you're talking about your feelings. Don't talk about my feelings. No, I definitely need to, especially I think. Aaron's got a character who's going to have proselytizing. I'm hoping that'll bring it up a little more naturally. But I definitely need to get on Dallas to actually be like, hey, you're the pusher, not the hacker. I know you hack things, but, like, you need to push occasionally. Try to induct people into your weird techno cult. It's kind of your character's thing. It lets you do things with them. Maybe he'll want to talk to what's his face.
I think one of the problems with that is I think the pusher is one of those self-driving individuals, which might be in conflict sometimes when we have a actual job and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't think the pusher is as bad as the reporter, but it is definitely one of those things where you kind of have your own meta motivation, right? Like you have your vision or whatever. It's still, I think honestly, it's Dallas has built a weird character for the pusher because he's like, you're all secretive, but he's like double secretive. He can't and it means that he won't like talk to people about stuff sometimes, even though that's kind of what his character's supposed to. I don't know. Maybe I can convince him to take a little more in-character risks. He does talk about how he's an adrenaline junkie, so I don't know. Like the risk of revealing himself to tell people about his cool dream.
No, we just got to give him proper incentive. Like this is something I realized, like I forgot about, but we can actually use fast talk and play hardball on other PCs, and there's actually like mechanical incentives. Like if you roll if you roll and you get a pass, if it's a 7 or 9, it's an either or. But if you get a 10 plus and you fast talk someone, if they do what you want, you mark experience. But if they don't want to do what you want, they have to act under pressure. At no point can you actually force a PC to do what you want or not do what you want. But there's like mechanical incentives and benefits behind it to do it. Like if I was actually thinking about this the other day, like when I told Dallas's characters, like, hey, you want to hire me to be your buddy again? I give good rates. I could have been all like, hey, I want to fast talk.
Yeah, that could, and I, as the MC, because it's supposed to be fiction first, I could have been like, that sounds like a fast talk. It didn't really sound like a fast talk at the time. It sounded like you guys just, fluff John, but we could have taken it that way.
We could have taken it that way, but it's one of those things that, like, if Dallas had been like, all right, I'll hire you, for like a credit or something for the job, it'd be like, he'd been like, all right, I keep Mark's experience for that, and that.
Yes, if you roll 6 under on any move, the MC makes a hard move.
Yes.
Whether that's like, whether I use that hard move to like drive a wedge between you, or it's like you guys have a tense stare down and then somebody else kicks down the door before you can resolve your issues.
Yeah. But it's like one of those things of like, I do feel like we probably need to talk to each other as PCs more often, but we're more usually focused on doing something or thinking of something.
You guys try to do the job, and it's like I said, there's a lot of unresolved issues amongst the PCs that we haven't really touched on, and at some point you're probably going to have to deal with, because when that Pacifica clock hits 0 and ninja lawyers come with guns that steal your bank account, they have crypto erasing guns. They're going to destroy your cred. Oh no. When those guys, drop out of black helicopters, Squirrel's going to be, at best, Squirrel is going to be handed a gun and told to murder all of you, assuming the corpo just doesn't go, we'll get our investment back, and decides to just plug him too. So you guys should probably have a discussion about how you're going to deal with that problem and, like, actually let Squirrel bring up that he kind of has an attachment to them, but mechanically, he's free and clear. He is hunted, not owned. Whereas all of our other characters are actually owned by their corporations. I think even for one of Aaron's cyberwares, he even picked owned as well. So like most of you are on the hook money wise for some stuff.
I think he picked owned Zigzaku as well as me.
Yeah, which gives you guys some built-in backstory opportunity. We talked about this at length as well. But, like, I definitely think there should be some actual conversations amongst you more. You're right. And this is the thing I like about social roles with Powered by the Apocalypse. Generally, all of them are written this way. If you use it on a PC, if you even can. I think in Monster Arts, you straight up can't. The only way you can interact with another PC is turn them on or spend strings. Manipulate an NPC is explicitly manipulate an NPC. You cannot manipulate PCs that way. And they might have changed that up. I think they changed that up a little in the second edition. I'd have to double check. I'm not very familiar with that one. But you can't force another PC to do anything. You can only present them with problems. It's the same as the MC. I can't make you guys do anything. It's just that when it's called for certain certain moves, I have to present you guys with like choices, opportunities, costs, and be like, what do you want to do? You know, I can't be like, all right, you pull the trigger. It's like, you know, like I said, in that hypothetical scenario, the black helicopter shows up, a banker hands, you know, Squirrel a gun and says, all right, either you shoot Odin in the face or I shoot you. He's not forced to do anything. He has to pick what he wants to do. And there can absolutely be, you know, tension between PCs. Because we are in a little bit of an anthology, I feel like we haven't necessarily wanted to dive into some of that stuff, but we should more. And that might give Dallas some more opportunities to do some pusher thing. Because the pusher's two, like, core moves are... I mean, I also will say, I think it's interesting how I kind of let you guys... go to other directives that makes your characters more unique, but also it's still like I think that might have also be why sometimes our different PC playbooks don't necessarily line up one-to-one. Because the pusher's default directives are financial, when you hinder the mission for extra profit, hierarchic, when you improve your standing or impair a rival standing among X group, rejected, when your former membership in X hinders you, or violent, when you choose to use violence. Which I do believe that's one of your motivations. I'm pretty sure that is a default motivation for Killer as well. But
yeah, I don't remember. I think I might have switched mine out for networking because mine's violence and networking Suzaku. I believe.
Yeah, so you are violent and yeah. But like,
yes, I
am. The ones Dallas has, because proselytizing, ironically enough, is not on the pusher list. Though Dallas also has that motivation. But he is proselytizing and protective. Odin is thrill-seeking, revealing. I don't think you guys have done a lot to hit your motivations lately.
I think I hit violence. I think I hit violence last job, but
yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have gone out of your way to do your whatchamacallits. There'll be opportunities. I got a few later. Yours is violent and network with Zaku, and then Squirrel's is intimate cathode. He has a friend, and then vengeful rook. He's got an enemy. Those will eventually come up. It'll happen. Well, it's not just a reminder for your personal plot acts. Also, you should, you know, go out of your way to do things to investigate AIs. But anyway.
Well, I think like this is the thing. It's like sometimes I think it's maybe like a little hard to instigate personal plot if we're on the job. Like this is one of the reasons why I was all like last session's like, no, we're gonna go fucking hit Northwest. We're gonna go do like a kind of more personal thing. You know, we're gonna go like reduce this clock because once we're on a job, that's kind of the thing. Like we're on the job. Like unless you actually like see the job with like personal hooks and whatnot. Which you probably have.
Oh, and I do, yeah. Like, the problem is sometimes they never come up. Obviously, narratively appropriate, I can bring stuff in. It's mostly just where I want to put the complications. Yeah. Because, right, like Squirrel, we've talked about, he has this thing. He has both, he has a motivation about his vengeance with Rook, and that's an actual threat out there. Hunted. So, that always lurks back there. It's just that usually... when it comes up, it's not a really relevant time to just keep snowballing and be like, and now this guy is here. I do not know if that will necessarily stay true this time. That depends on how smooth you guys go. But there's a lot of open-ended stuff, I think. Oh, well then Axe, you should literally not have as a motivation. If you aren't motivated by it, right, scratch it off your character sheet. Literally. That is a literal, meaningless motivation. Write me a new motivation your character actually cares about. I personally think the revealing AIs thing is cool, but if you're not watching the chat, Axis said that Odin is too professional to jeopardize it all by trying to learn something. Mechanically, that's not a motivation. Then your character doesn't actually give a shit about that.
Yeah, if it was a motivation, you would do it despite it being, unprofessional.
Yeah.
Like, you should be, like, in your moonlighting, you should be, like, taking days off to, you know, go, like... You should be paying hackers to dig up data. You should be, like, finding professionals to, like, hit up certain cores and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, that's what...
Or, like, and before it's come up, it's been, like, if an opportunity to be like, oh, I have a chance to learn about this, which did actually come up in the last job. I worked that into the backstory. Funny enough, it was Claymore who bit onto the you know, computer scientist AI specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And turned that into a whole subplot thing and now has a contact. That was written so that, like, Axe could be like, oh, this chick knows about AIs. I'm going to, like, question her. Maybe I will linger for a little bit and ask her questions. But again, it's just like, it's... Yeah. But then that's why though it's a motivation. Like, you could have gotten EXP if you pushed and been like, no, I want to make sure I meet this girl and talk to her because of reasons. But
I think
you
Axe
didn't do that because...
I think Axe made a attempt, but didn't follow through on it.
Yeah, it's... And I mean, that can be just chucked up to, well, you didn't want to press hard enough for the motivation. But that's the thing about getting motivation EXP and biting those plot hooks is you got to actually, like, get in there and do it. And if you don't think you will ever actually, like, jeopardize the mission just to get this plot hook stuff, then it doesn't matter.
I would totally shoot a motherfucker if you guys were going to try to fuck over Suzaku.
Yeah, no, like, that's... And network is when your membership in X would hinder the mission, which has come up a couple of times. Yes, no, I absolutely believe if there was some cross purposes with Suzaku, that would at the very least make Claymore, like, rethink his options. Yeah, no, I believe that. Much like I also believe in Claymore's other motivation, violence, when he would use violence to solve a problem when literally anything else would work. No, that is correct. You've done it before.
I will do it again.
The main thing I think is and I will probably try and work on this, is, like, Rook is complex because that guy is, like, also a threat character. Like, the way the backstory worked out is he's just kind of supposed to be out there doing stuff, and I've, you know, working on his threat clock and whatnot, so maybe he can actually, like, get in there a little bit. But the intimate with Cathode, it's like, it's a little hard, especially because NPCs are so slippery to be like, all right, well, your intimate is held hostage. You can only do that so many times before it gets cliche. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about some of this stuff, but yeah, it's a little bit of a slow roll in some. But no, the motivations should absolutely be well, wonder which cargo person was. Like in the Canyons job? And you should absolutely... I mean, they told you who she was. You guys have perfect knowledge about that. Yep. In the current job, no, that has absolutely nothing to do with your motivation. Probably because you didn't bite very hard on the last job on it. And I can't make everything about everybody all the time.
Listen, I bid on the Gate of Babylon. I'm like, this is a club.
Yes, you are involved in it. That's part of the threat matrix of the Canyons, trying to suck you in.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, much more likely your motivation about thrill seeking is much more likely to come up in this job, Odin. Claymore's probably would be violent. Violent is probably very likely to come up.
Well, the thing
Though,
about...
I don't know. I could see the Suzaku because you're riding in a borrowed Suzaku vehicle, so...
Yeah, no, like, I want to probably get this returned. And
so if, like, a situation comes up where, like, you're threatened with, like, you know, tire rumble strips or something, or taking a 20-minute detour where more guys are going to try and, like, track you or murder you, and Claymore is like, nope, go around the tire strips, you're going to fuck up the finish on the car. This is a Suzaku car. Like... That would be an EXP for networking. Because you're like, whoa, don't fuck this tech up.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We just, like, again, you might not have noticed this, but this is when you fast talk. You got to fast talk Claymore. You got to convince them that that's a bad idea. And then you roll, and then you be like, hey, lucky, if you do this, you'll get an EXP. And we go like,
I mean, you could do it. You're like, behavioral. Yeah, have an ethical code. I mean, that is one of the soldiers' defaults. The soldiers, by the way, are prudent, financial, filial, behavioral. I think prudent would work. That would just give you EXP incentive to actually be like, because it always is the what do you do? You know, Claymore goes to shank a guy, and then you could actually be like, whoa, don't do that. You know, kind of a thing. That would give you EXP to like actually be like, what is it? We don't need to do that.
Okay, well, I will put it this way: don't pick your motivations based on other players.
Yes, it should be based on your character, and like if you think that would clash with other characters, well, that's the kind of like tension and conflict we're talking about. Like you guys actually have disagreements and like differing backstory elements and stuff. It just doesn't come up a lot. It came up a little last job. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. Did Claymore have a conversation with No, I think you guys actually tussled with Odin. I think you guys got into a little scrap. Not enough to like roll dice or anything, because it was just kind of like an emotional, but
with the canyon job?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that. That's when I went to pick up, I can't remember her name. The Bloody Leaf Johnson. And I captured her.
Patricia.
Yeah, and I captured her.
Rouge.
And I captured her, and because, like I said, I literally came up with this on the fly, but, you know, I basically fluffed it that I knew another one of the sisters, and she wanted me to not let her, you know, her sister die in this whole debacle. So when we did the raid on the school, we captured her, and then I took her out to the middle of, well, not the middle, but, you know, out on the fringes of the wasteland, played hardball, told her to get the fuck out and let her go. Then when I got back, Odin was all like, why the fuck did you do that? You need to tell us these things. And I was all like, fuck you!
Yeah, and I think that like it didn't turn into a social role because it's a kind of that thing, right, where fiction first, right? Like mechanically, other than the stats you roll, the results on play hardball and fast talk are very similar, right?
Right.
Like basically, PCs either do what you want or X happens.
Yes.
For a PC, if they do what you want, they get to mark experience. If they don't do it, they have to act under pressure. And then with player hardball, they choose if they want to do it. And if they don't do it, they suffer the established consequences, which probably means they get shot or stabbed. But, you know, fast talk is you got to convince somebody to do what you want with promises, lies, or bluster. Just being like, hey, you should tell us what's up is not any of that. And then you escalated back and just, I think, got in a tussle.
Yep.
Which I also don't think, I don't think you rolled hardball on that either, because it wasn't like you were trying to get him to do anything. You were just like, hey, shut the fuck up.
I think I rolled mix it up to seize control of his life.
Oh, yeah, that might have been it. Yeah, seize control of the situation.
Yes.
Because you did not threaten violence, you just did violence.
Yes.
Also, another key distinction. If you just punch a dude, then you're mixing it up. We've skipped past the hardball stage.
And then
also, Axe, if you don't have this, well, do it anyway. Lucky, what's your style?
0.
How many times do you hit the street?
Almost every time.
Yeah, I think you're the number 1 guy in contact, possibly number 2. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 in my list.
Yeah, that's because I accidentally picked up 2 contacts in the first job. I didn't realize it was per job, not per session. So I'm probably not actually going to declare a contact. But yeah, next job, guess what? I'm probably going to declare another one, and I'm just going to keep talking to people.
Yeah, so I think you're tied. Actually, no, you're 1, 2.
No, we should be tied because we can only declare 1 per.
Yeah, but not everybody has done one. I do believe Odin has done one every job. He's also at 4, I think. Yeah. And technically, some of these contacts are like through other moves. Like some of the I think like at least one of Odin's contact is because he called a guy. Actually, no, it should be 3. Written wrong. So yeah, so Odin is at 3. You're at 4. One of which again is like we think kind of extra, but still, it's okay. I'm not gonna
declare one this session and call it good.
I have Rapier written down as one of your contacts.
Yep.
And I think that was it. It was we did not. You technically should not have declared her as a contact, but we just kind of like
just ran with it, and I'm just gonna and I said I'm just not gonna declare one for this job.
Yeah.
And
Odin is 3. Squirrel is 2. Metatron is 3. Is he 3? He might only be 2. Odin, Squirrel, Metatron, Claymore, Odin, Claymore, Odin, Metatron,
Claymore.
Squirrel. Yeah. So I think Metatron also owns. Well, he's already declared his for the job, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's despite the fact that you are not good at style, you are still our most ready to declare contacts guy.
I like knowing people. Let's see here. Yeah, because... Let me check. Yeah, I got... Well, contacts is also, like, fun. Like, honestly, I think that's one of the things I think I like most about the Sprawl, besides on mechanics, is just like, yeah, I know a person, and you can just say, whomever.
Yeah.
Like,
when you need to call in a favor from a new contact, name and describe the contact, and then say whether they owe you or you owe them.
And so, that's what made the Nakamura job, like, a literal delight for me, because I was just like, that was that moment of crystallization of, like, yeah, I can declare anybody.
Yeah, so long as it's, as long as it follows the fiction, and it did.
Yeah.
And that's, Nakamura Himiko, owner of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And that made, like, that completely, like, changed the narrative, and I was just like, yes, no, this is great. Like, same thing with Nova Johnson, usually try to declare, like, that's what I'm saying. I'll either declare I think that's how I differentiate. I'll either declare a contact for a narrative purpose, for something, like, interesting, because that's how it definitely was with Nakamura and Nova, or for someone who I just need shit. That's a Hoshiguma. That's just, my black market dealer when I need to get shit. And Raper when I need to get Suzaku shit. The good shit.
Yeah. And, Squirrel's 2 contacts here also have been purely transactional. That was Wildside, the freelance hacker, who gave you the hacking stuff because none of you could hack in job. And then Acid, who supplied you with the drugs during the hotel job. And I guess Claymore didn't need a guy during the Canyons job because I don't have it written down. I should double check.
No, I declared Nova as my...
Yeah, you declared that one.
Yeah. I think I cleared, but I didn't actually contact them for anything.
And I think, because technically 2 of the people I have written down as Odin's contacts, 2 of them are from the Canyons job, but I think that has to do with, because one of those was the specialist he hired. He assembled his specialist team, because there's asset retrieval, and then 16-bit, the Wirehead LT, who he hit the street to find and get some shit out of.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the... And Metatron is very big on declaring contacts for social purposes. He has a security officer at the airport, and then now Sergeant Francello as Suzaku Field Medic.
I thought that was declared Granny Coyote.
Oh, did he actually declare her as a contact of his?
I thought he
write
did.
her down though. I'll double check with him when we speak if he goes on your sheet. I have her down as an NPC anyway because she was a core NPC. But if he declared her like how you've declared other NPCs, I'll move her down to contacts.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I have a separate NPC field for people you just meet. Like the other Johnson sisters. Some of the people who are contacts with you, the people who have ownership there, some of your other main things. And other characters you've just met, like the Major General, head of the 776 gang.
Not a contact, but I know a guy.
You know him. You could declare him as a contact and explain why you have that relationship, but for now, he's just a guy you know.
Contact implies that you know each other to do favors and do business.
Yeah, the declare a contact move, you have to declare how either they owe you or you owe them. So you have to explain the prior relationship. But yeah, so there's some back and forth stuff, and hopefully we can get into that. I've said before, I think the way Aaron is designing his character it would possibly bring out some not social conflict, but some like discussion points during fluff time.
Maybe some spirituality.
Yeah, I even added that to my discussion notes. Because we talked a lot about demographics and stuff.
Oh yeah, we got in the weeds with that shit a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. The discussion. My notes now in the actual appearance is Christian churches should be down Buddhism, Shinto, and other folk religions to be up. Because again, going back to our like socio-political background, a lot of the forks of Christianity are foreign religions now. Like they are of a different country.
Mm-hmm.
Catholicism would be out of Vatican Corp. Vatican City is probably like its own self-contained city-state corp inside of Rome. Who the fuck knows? Maybe the Vatican Corp is taking over Rome completely. Maybe it's the neo-papal states. Who knows?
Actually, real quick, X, how much cred do you have, and what do you spend it on? Like, I'm literally spending all my cred on cyberware so I can literally, 1v1 an entire fucking building. I am dead fucking serious about this, by the way. But, like, what are your character's actual future plans? Like, you talk about you want to learn about AI, but what do you actually want to do with that AI? Like, is this like, are you like Stephen King about, not Stephen King, Stephen Hawking's about this? Are you a little bit concernicus about them being out? Do you want to give them rights? Do you want to recognize them as people? Like, cred is a way to just have people do things. It's the route to finding his family. Through AI, really?
I feel like this has gotten in the weeds. I actually even said that in there. It's been established that, but I don't. Okay, well, we need to hash this out. Axis has to solidify some of this shit.
Yeah.
Actually. It's a different discussion, but it was discussed when I talked about the AI thing, because the whole thing is the Singularity War, right? Like,
yeah.
And we specified Japan specifically did the breakthrough into generalized AI, like actual human-like intelligence that can grow and learn skills like a human. We've not discussed, like, at what rate or capacity, because I don't think we need to. I don't even know if the general public knows, but still, generalized intelligence, a huge breakthrough. I have referred to this, I believe, consistently in the... Well, I don't think you need to scrub it. We need to actually... You were asleep last night, but, we need to actually sit down and have a jam with you about this timeline, like Aaron, Lucky, and me had about, like, the actual timeline of World War III.
Mm-hmm.
Because, in the backstory, I've called this the Kyoto Miracle. Because it's a cool name. Cyberpunk should have cool, proper names. We kind of, like I said last night, we kind of worked on that some more, thinking up some lines. Came up with a concept for, because I was talking about, like, maybe like a Neo-Warsaw Pact kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, you came out with the Shanghai Pact. I was like, oh, damn, that sounds terrifying.
And if you want to know why, it's because Shanghai, the port of Shanghai is very major, and it's, like, basically right across the fucking ocean from Japan.
By the way, guys, did you know a lot of the world's largest fucking armies are just basically right off the fucking, like the Chinese mainland? It's a little nuts. It's a little fucking nuts.
It's one of those weird things where we started down this hole and it's just like, because I think we wanted to set it in Japan as kind of an excuse for, like, why we had so much, like, Japanese subculture, classic cyberpunk style in Pacifica. I mean, and kind of, like, to come up with this World War III thing, but also have it be like, why aren't we all, nuked or whatever? So the actual land war happened in Asia. The Shanghai Pact, which would have been Russia, North Korea, and the PRC, basically all got together and secretly agreed, okay, we're going to knock over territory in the Pacific. We're going to knock over South Korea, Taiwan, and Japan, and we're going to get the Kyoto Miracle. And then we're going to do it fast enough and, swift enough that America can't respond, the EU can't respond, all that fun stuff. And then we'll have AI and everything will be perfect, right?
Right.
It was not perfect. So, this starts the big rollover because, yes, the PRC, North Korea, Russia all have very large armies. Japan does not. They have the JSTF, which is smaller. But, Japan obviously has a lot of strong ties to America. There are a shitload of military bases for the U.S. in Japan or in surrounding islands. Okinawa is a big one, but we also have several other posts in various islands and around the place. the thing I kind of thought of was maybe like they do like the Chinese Navy does like a fake out for like to invade Taiwan or the Philippines or something, and that causes the U.S. to be like, whoa, you can't do that, and displaces the fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And then they invade, but and we talk about the. Okay, actually, just talking incomplete sentences. You should say this for the Cabal. You can't use this in a 200 character limit act. You're just talking in fragments. But yeah, so they go to invade. I like it just because it's a funny history thing. I think it would have been great if there was another kamikaze, another divine wind.
Basically, a huge storm.
Yeah. Infamously, the first couple times this happened was to stop the Mongol invasion around Tsushima. So you even get to see part of this with Ghost of Tsushima. But basically, there would have been a huge storm because this would have been peak climate crisis, right?
Right.
Slows up the combined Shanghai Pact fleet just long enough for Pac fleet to show up and actually like give the Japanese a fighting chance, and it turns into a clusterfuck of a land war because you can't go full nuclear because you want to make sure you don't destroy the Kyoto Miracle. And nukes have EMPs and stuff, which is harmful to computer software.
Yes.
Maybe why we have such a push towards optical storage, because those are less vulnerable. Who knows? It's always fun to just come up with these though and figure out how it's strung together.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like pure force-wise, boots on the ground in Japan would not have enough strength to actually hold off a combined effort by Russia, North Korea, and China. But obviously, with the World War, stuff starts to boil out. I said to myself, there's no way that like India doesn't get proactive if the Chinese are busy focused on literally their opposite border because they've got, lands that are contested with China forever. There's probably some fuckery with Pakistan that probably gets the Middle East involved. Alternatively, Pakistan and the Middle East might also get involved because of China's historically poor treatment of Muslims, such as in the Uyghur Autonomous Region. There might be some guys in Central Asia who are annoyed by this. I still don't know for sure, and I don't know if we need to hammer it out, but Vietnam also has apparently a pretty big army still. I don't know if they would be like on China and Russia's side because of like historicity with the Vietnam War, or if they would be concerned about China being territorial, but they're right there. They'd probably be involved. U.S. has a lot of military bases in Australia, probably would have dragged Australia in. Also, this would have pulled in, the UK through the Commonwealth. And also the UK would probably want that sweet, sweet AI. This means Russia is also exposed on their other border, especially given current events. I cannot imagine why countries sharing a border with Russia might be slightly agitated at them and wish to, get some land back. Perhaps Neo-Ukraine wishes to take Crimea back. Stuff like that. And then it's, full-ass World War. And this basically leads to, hilarious monetary overspending. It turns into a war of attrition to make up for lost manpower. Governments start to spend money on cyberware, which means they spend money. They run out of money, and then it turns into like this whole big rigmarole of like collapsing governments. We talked a lot about how there would have been a refugee crisis back in the U.S. The refugees may not have actually arrived until the war was like technically over. And so now there's this big thing of like, okay, so the population has to pay for a war we didn't want, pay for refugees we may or may not want, and, also bail out the government's debt and pay for all the veterans' bills on all these guys we've given robot arms. And it basically turns into like a huge governmental collapse. The South and Midwest don't want to pay to resettle Japanese refugees on the West Coast, and the West Coast is like, fuck you, we want to. We don't want to pay for your bullshit either, but we do. And then, the U.S. government defaults on money. Corpos sweep in. They're like, we can pay for these things. And we end up with the state of the world as we've established in the Singularity War. Probably some post-breakup, lawlessness, chaos. That was when the environmental crisis was at its worst. Things settle down, they get to a more regular state, and we enter the setting we've kind of reached now, where there are tensions, there are conflicts, but it's not World War III anymore. Nobody really wants it to be World War III. And the kicker way they established in Session 0 is the Koto Miracle, the AIs have vanished. They're gone now.
Whoosh.
Nobody is quite sure where they went. Maybe they got, black boxed back up and ended up in somebody's basement in NORAD. Which is, that's under the mountain. It's Cheyenne Mountain. Yeah, that would be in the Colorado territory, which is contested. Maybe that's why Colorado's still contested. Because, that's where, that maybe was where some of that stuff ended up. Mm-hmm. Or maybe it could have ended up in, like, Area 51 in the middle of the desert. Something like that. Maybe it ended up in a government spot. Or it didn't. It's gone. It got destroyed. Who knows? But it's a lingering question in the background. And I think Axe's angle on this was that he wanted to be related to one of the original programmers. Axe originally said it in kind of his flowery and very extra way of like, I want to be related to the Soul programmer. And I'm like, no, there's no Soul programmer. We've kind of talked about this as an ambiguous project. But, being related to the team kind of makes sense. That was some of the stuff that actually came up in the Canyons job was that... was Marianne. I wrote her name down too recently. Yes, Marianne Johnson was interested in this kind of stuff. Like she was a leader on like algorithms and self-learning ice and stuff like that, and a study of the AI miracle, because lots of corpos are probably trying to like rebuild the miracle. It's just they can't do it because they don't got the stuff, the source.
You need that little extra.
Yeah. Whether you need to like accidentally spill salt on the mainframe or you need to let it run overnight, they haven't recaptured it because nobody can be really like public about it because this started World War III. So
everyone's a little bit leery.
Yeah. But yeah, we did a lot of that jam on like sorting it out, and it's funny how when you start these small things from places, you can actually come up. Like it's the reason why it's in the thumbnail. I like literally grabbed the sat map, the Google Earth map, and like zoomed out and showed Japan, North Korea, China, Russia, Mongolia, India, like Vietnam. They're all like right the fuck there.
It was definitely one of those moments of we set this thing, but we didn't actually understand how accurate we were.
Yeah. And it turns out that as a story hook, it flows perfectly because that means there's all these huge armies right next to each other. And if you start, a war over a thing, it's going to get fucky.
Real quick.
And from there, our discussion kind of turns to, got out there.
Whoosh. Okay.
Yeah, it was at a different point, but you also walked that back when I asked you because it's very minor, but there is a contradiction between how Axe has written his character as described and then also talking about what your actual thing is. In looks, he describes himself as an indigenous, so like Amerindian, which would obviously be America native, but he has a Japanese last name and at one point talked about being one of the actual Japanese refugees. Which I think kind of sort of came up in conversation, but not explicitly. So I don't know if it's like an actual thing we've hammered out.
It's one of those things that Axe hasn't actually, finalized on and is.
Yeah, he had some ideas. I think we kind of started doing some role playing that way, but if I think back, I don't know if it's like canon. Yes, you took it wrong. No, that is not what indigenous means. Because all the other skin types are racial. That's what, yeah. So, no, indigenous means, like, your race is indigenous. You would not go, You would not be like be in Cyber France and be like, my skin tone is indigenous. I'm French. Now you'd be like the skin looks is like, artificial, Asian or South Asian, black, decorated, Hispanic, Latino, indigenous, Middle Eastern, white, custom. So no, it's like all the other skin tones. It is racial or very close to it.
I mean, indigenous to the region. Yes, you'd be in the Americas, an indigenous American people.
Yeah, if you're in Pacifica, that doesn't mean that you're Pacifican indigenous. That means that you're Native American, which would be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would say Asian or South Asian, yeah, which is technically the same bubble. But yeah, like that was just like there was a slight conflict in the description there, but we could iron that out, and we just did.
Yay!
And that loosens up some of the backstory. And like people don't need to be deep. I don't think Marth has really thought too hard about his backstory, other than that he has established that he has two important characters to him, and that I do constantly remind him of, and that he interacts with. But it's not like I don't think he feels driven with Squirrel to write an elaborate backstory of like all the jobs Squirrel has ever done and how they come back up. It's just like, Squirrel has people he cares about, and he likes to drive cars. He has certain relationships he's built up with certain contacts and corpse, and that's fine.
Oh, you can get, like I said, that's the thing is, like, you can get as, like, deep as you want.
Yeah. Dallas, I know, has a lot of backstory, but he mostly tries to bring it up when it's relevant. And even sometimes he'll be like, well, this would be reasonable for my character, but I don't know if I should say it out loud because you guys would have no way of knowing this, right? Like Dallas does actually decently try to keep the in-character, out-of-character knowledge divide.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's up with his character, but is like, I don't know if you guys would know that. But it kind of fits everything out. I think most of our characters do at least have the established. You could probably make the retirement package. I wonder for sure. Like, where's advanced? Where's my advanced? Yeah. You can spend 10 cred to rewind a countdown clock, corporate clock, new playbook, buy off an obligation, enemy or owned. Retire your character's safety, make a second character. I could see like Dallas, like for Metatron, like maybe even becoming a new playbook eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he stops being the pusher and becomes the fixer. He goes up the corporate ladder.
I can see that.
I don't think the rest of you will probably change jobs. It's probably like retirement or go down swinging.
Probably.
But yeah, you talked earlier about Northwest Industries as a job. That's one of the lines. Like I brought up the corporate clocks, and you especially Lucky were like, maybe we should think about doing something about that for once.
Doing something
because for 3 jobs in a row you have gone, it's fine, now at least Lucky and or Claymore is thinking maybe it is not fine. So you told me to like, you maybe should think about that, and I'm like, oh no, I'm thinking about it. And I do. I have the sketch for it. The main thing would be deciding like how exactly to make that work. I think this, if you guys didn't want to do it as a whole ass job, like legwork and setup and everything, there is a move called Conduct an Operation.
What?
Yeah, it's one of the. I think it's described in missions. You can find it in the moves sheet though.
Really?
Yeah. When you lead a plan and coordinate operation, describe your plan and who is carrying it out. Then roll edge, and then has example mission. This would probably be destruction. When you want to engage and destroy target assets, complete these tasks: determine location of assets and approach routes, establish matrix overwatch, take positions. So once you have done those factors, or you've got those lined up and planned, you roll edge. There can be possible complications. There are like considerations that can come up in the move, etc. and like do things. If you go roll well, everything goes according to plan. You and your team are in perfect position to carry out the final element. The MC will describe the scene and present you with the opportunity to act, and basically be like, all right, you've done all the lead up, you're ready to do the final push, here's your opportunity, do it. Like if you want to do that, they would be like, okay, you do the 3 things, you get your Matrix Overwatch, you establish where the files you want to destroy, you get everybody in position, and then it's like, okay, all you need to do is just, if it was like, say, Claymore was running the operation, it would be like, all right, Claymore, all you need to do to get those files is murder this squad of goons between you and the file room. And you're like, what do you want to do? I murder them. Okay, cool. Roll mix it up. And that can be used as a way, I've heard people on the internet talk about using it as a way to, like, I've been using some of this as, like, ways to outline, like, actual jobs, but definitely this can be used for, like, side jobs and sub-themes. Like,
Okay.
Technically, you guys could have probably, like, done this or some version of it to, like, just do the thing with the bloody leaf hold up in the school as a single line.
Oh, really?
I think it worked out not that, but yeah, it's like whenever you guys actually like do a planned thing. Let me
actually look at this. Excuse me.
Let me find the actual page in the core book that describes. Incorrect. Here we go. Mission packages, standard types of mission goals, paid for, frameworks, focus on needs and puzzling through, figuring out the approach to jobs, achieve an objective. Yeah, so basically, conduct an operation is written, it's on page 220, mission packages, and then it talks about conduct an operation and the outline of various missions. It's basically like, you can conduct a job or a mission by, like, going through all the moves normally, or if you want to jump right to the heart of an action, you can, like, pre-establish your plan, figure out it based off the rough outline of the different job types, and just jump straight to the beginning. And I think, as other people on the internet have said, this is a really great way to handle side jobs, submissions, and other things. And so if you wanted to just, like, focus on doing normal jobs but also hit up Northwest, that could be, like, a one way to do it. Or I could write it out as a whole, like I said, a whole full job with, like, legwork, action phase, complications, full, like, fluff and stuff.
Well, I didn't know that, like, this run operation thing is a thing. I'm just more.
It's phrased as a basic move, but it's buried in, like, the MC section in, missions.
Yeah, I'm not. Also, the fact that it's all based on edge, I'm just a little like, actually, what is Claymore's edge right now? Let me double check. Isn't it 0? Yeah, my edge is 0. So
yeah, I mean, like, obviously the best fit for this mechanically is the soldier. It feels like one of those things he's supposed to do, but that means that the one who has to, I will say, fiction first. That means the one who needs to lead a planned and coordinated operation would have to be the soldier. So that would mean that not necessarily that Axe has to write the plan, but Odin must be leading a operation which is planned and coordinated. But like I said, I don't know, especially the way we play. This doesn't need to necessarily replace full jobs. I just was reminded that, oh yeah, this is a thing. Oh, I can do this as like a, if you guys wanted to like grab short specific goals. Like if you almost as like set up to your main job, like say hypothetically for some reason. Let's say that you wanted to like sneak into Gates of Babylon without being seen.
Mm-hmm.
I could just have you guys like roll act under pressure or something, but if you're all gonna do it to like sneak onto the job site and like get there unseen, we could have done that as conduct an operation with the infiltration, right? Like, determine entry points, Matrix Overwatch, avoid detection, and then you're like, okay, you snuck in. Didn't choose to do that, but it's a way you could handle like objectives in the legwork phase without necessarily getting action. It's an interesting system, and I'd like to poke it a little bit more.
Yeah, I could definitely see poking it.
If you want to, like I said, you can check on page 220 for the full section in the rules, or it's on the MC
section.
sheets with the moves sheets. So, like I said, if you guys want to handle Northwest as more streamlined, we could do that. a kicker.
Yeah, I was also hoping for like stealing stuff, blowing stuff up. Cause
if you guys want to get in depth, I would have to actually. I've thought about this. Like handling Northwest would be different. It would not be like a traditional job because you would not roll to get the job.
No.
Because you are the job. There's no fixer or patron by default. You just are the job. So like the cred you invest would be like how much you guys are willing to put in of your personal share into funding this job and shaking it out, and then getting paid at the end. I would probably still use the get paid like base move, but it would be more like, okay, now you guys are trying and like flip assets you find. Maybe you stole some trucks full of grain. Maybe you punched the ticket on some corporate bounties. You killed some guys who have like money on their heads or whatever. Can you actually, get enough to get a return on your investment? Roll, get paid, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a like, legwork kind of a thing where that's maybe you guys, spend the legwork phase trying to find a patron. You try and find a guy who wants to bankroll this job.
Well, maybe not necessarily bankroll, but find someone who can like find maybe those bounties or those.
Line up a fixer who can like give you the profit points. They'd probably want their cut, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, a patron or a fixer, or just find the wholesale market price. Like, hey, hypothetically, if I were to show up with crates full of grain that fell off some Northwest trucks, how much would I get paid for that?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. That would be the legwork, and then the actual like scoping out the target. And like I said, I've got that one in mind. I also think it sadly doesn't involve a theme park because I can't figure out how to make that work in a cyberpunk murder spree. I'm trying really hard, but it's like it doesn't work. Unless I want you guys to do terrorism, which I think we should avoid because that means you all get murdered. But I think I finally figured out a way to integrate the media company DWG into a job line that would be kind of weird and fun.
Okay.
Spoilers. It's because I've been watching a lot of Ace Attorney.
Oh no, legal matters.
Yeah. Highly publicized legal matters because, of course, TV, we'll get there. Well, they wouldn't hire 4 assholes to do a demo job on a theme park, Axe. They would hire a giant corporation. Like I have thought of all these ideas. None of them work as a cyberpunk job. Why do you need 4 or 5 highly armed assholes to do something at a theme park? If it's abandoned, you don't. You buy the fucking land and you steamroll it. And if you're like, but legal loopholes, and I'm like, corporate future, no legal loopholes. This is one of our capital, C corporations. They have enough money. They buy the land. Unless you guys want to murder, old man Jenkins so he stops haunting the theme park or something. I guess that could be funny as like a reverse Scooby-Doo. You're not trying to disprove the ghost. You already know the ghost is a dude. You're trying to catch him and shoot him. I don't know if that's got the full breadth for a job.
Well, I mean, he could. Like, I guess my friend think if it was an abandoned theme park, maybe there's like a high-profile bounty or terrorist in there who's turned the entire place into a death trap or something.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily like connect back up with the corp. There are ideas. I just haven't found a way to make it fit the usual mold of job.
Yeah.
Maybe if we build some backstory up with some of these corps, we can get something that streamlines a little better. But it's hard to do like a. It's hard to just summon it forth in a vacuum. Like, okay, theme park of doom. Why are you guys hired for this? What's the angle on this? What the fuck does Squirrel do? But boss arenas in 2077 suck. The game is not good at boss fight. It usually involves heavy machine gun turrets for no reason. Other than that, I get free heavy machine guns then. Body 20. Your machine gun is my machine gun. That also works if you're int 20. Funny how brains and brawn line up like that. Yeah, sit in Car Simulator 5. Well, I think what we need to do is you guys either need to buy Squirrel some drones, or Squirrel needs to figure out some new drones. Because drones are cool. Drones give Squirrel a lot of flexibility.
Well, that's what I was like, what is Marth spending? Marth, what are you spending your cred on?
I think Marth is banking his cred so that he can get some vehicle stuff, though he could just take a move for that as well.
Yeah.
There was some talk about like can you do second skin stuff in a drone? And I think the general consensus was yes, but drones don't necessarily have stat mods. But if you get your second skin benefits while droning, you can drone it. Well, so it sounds like Squirrel's just working retirement then. Or maybe buying off a corporal clock. You don't know. If he gets to 5 advancements, he could be nice and he could buy down Pacifica for you guys.
Always the plan.
That would be funny. How far up is Pacifica? They're at 22, right? How many slots is that, over 18? That's like 2. That would set you back to, just a very slight agitation. Slightly nettled. That's down below the threshold of they are actively making moves against you. You guys have 3 corpos, by the way, doing that. Because you did the first job against Rio Grande Combine. They're only at 2,100, though, so they're just, like, generally aware of you assholes.
Clearly, we just need to plant. We just need to hit one of them and then plant evidence saying it was the other fucker and just let them go at each other.
That might work. I think Axe decided that was the event when he was slippery to, like, do false evidence and cover-ups and shit. But yeah, like I said, I have some ideas for, like, integrating, media. People talking about this way earlier when we were discussing Ace Attorney as a franchise. Ace Attorney is kind of notoriously clown shoes when it comes to courtroom antics. Some people see it as a biting commentary on the legal system, especially of Japan. I believe the original director has come out and said, not really, he just kind of winged it. He took, what he learned from pop culture about American and Japanese courtrooms and kind of kitbashed it together. Some things are not that unrealistic, like prosecutors having so much power. There's no right to jury trial normally. And, prosecutors bragging about their conviction rates because Japan does have a 96.7% conviction rate. Mostly because prosecutors won't prosecute a case unless it's a slam dunk. This is why in America, we have an epidemic of plea bargaining. Because going to court is expensive for everybody. If you can get the defendant to just plea it out, there's no need to prove anything. But that means that there's a lot of antics I could draw on in a cyberpunk world, like discussions that I will probably bring back up for the actual session because God knows we do this job with our rotation of stuff. But stuff like is the right to jury trial preserved in Pacific? Why can't our subject? I'll explain why he doesn't have a regular corpo lawyer, part of the backstory. But why can't our unsuspected, defendant just get a public defender? Is it because public defenders don't exist? Is it because, they're so grossly overworked it would be tantamount to just plea bar? Your public defender literally exists to plea bargain you out. Or is it because it's now it's a legal algorithm AI that just fires the most statistically likely legal arguments? It's literally law by Siri. We can figure out those questions, and it can be so much solving this job could be anywhere from Metatron gets in the courtroom and shouts objection at people because he's kind of our face. And I think Aaron actually took the face move with Integrator, so yes. He could also do that. Or is it bullshit Claymore breaks into the proceedings and kidnaps the defendant so he can't be charged? You guys will have to figure out your own courtroom antics stuff. And I had some fun ideas from that. We'll probably eventually do both. It'll just be a question of which ones. If you guys are all keen on doing a Northwest job. Because like I said, wheels got turning. I'm thinking about, what the OP4 is like, what the layout is like. Giant fields of grain. Big robotic combine harvesters. Listen, you guys are going to have to worry about, model, Baskerville class K9 security drones.
That sounds exciting.
C10 plowshares farming drones that Northwest Industries has probably illegally weaponized. Get it? Plowshares. Towards the plowshares. And C10 is a reference to Settlers of Catan.
I was shaking my head. No one could see it, but it was there.
I'm not necessarily a subtle man. And actually, here I'll drop. I just realized I can drop for people in chat. If you want to check out the notes, I actually have a public version of my note which takes out all my MC stuff. I guess actually I just realized I've got the corporations listed here. I can probably put the with no notes. I can probably put the actual corpo clocks on this document because you guys are supposed to see them. It's probably going to be slightly ugly because, unfortunately, the way clocks were designed in the original Powered by the Apocalypse and are kept in the Sprawl is not conducive to virtual tabletop.
Nope.
They are supposed to be like bubbled in at the place. So it's a little loosey goosey. But I can copy those over, and if you want to, you guys. And I have to remember to add the 12 o'clock. I don't usually write down the 12 o'clock note because every clock starts at 12. That's the status of everything's fine, nothing is going wrong. So I'm just like, why bother tracking? Oh yeah, we had some good sprawl talk. Northwest. It's bad. It's very bad.
You gotta do something about it. I gotta blow up a factory. I gotta steal some grain. I gotta tip their cows.
Well, I mean, what you actually have to do is like find their or some other bullshit. Punch.
I know.
No, I mean, I don't think you were a huge distraction on stream. We were talking about the sprawl. We got a little into your backstory specifically. We're just here to talk about it. But we also went on like divergences about, the Singularity War and stuff. And like I said, we were up for extra hours. You, me, and Aaron were just chatting about trying to problem solve World War III.
Yeah.
So, stop 20 there. Also 22. Copy paste that clock. Rio Grande one's down.
Oops.
Stone and Sons 18. Crossnex 18. And Suzaku is our third corporation, 12. We'll see how after this mission if Medicus stayed 12. Maybe for once Axe will roll Snake Eyes on Get Paid and like the job will go wrong. Horribly wrong at the end.
I'm pretty sure.
Probably not, but
I think Axe has only failed one check, and I think he's only gotten a 7 through 9 on 2 checks.
Well, we did just have this conversation. He literally said earlier he didn't want to roll fast talk because he's bad at style. But, the Snake Eyes problem always exists. Just because only Dallas rolls Snake Eyes doesn't mean that Snake Eyes is impossible for other people. Dallas, once again, I think the source of one of our major sources of misses.
Yes.
I think Scroll also missed. Well, yeah, you get at least one, but then you have to pick which one you don't get because some of those is like the meeting isn't a setup, shit like that. You weren't followed. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what the group would pick. Get the morning.
I would like money, yes.
I feel like you guys are fairly confident in, murdering your way out of a problem as opposed to not getting paid.
Yes. I mean, it's like you know what this says. Like, how much is it gonna cost me to be ambushed? Bullets. I'd rather have to spend bullets than spend my cash.
Paid, roll plus legwork clock. 3 each. So you choose one from the list. The donor is identifiable. Why is the employer identifiable on both ends? Oh well.
I don't.
I mean, you guys don't usually go for that sometimes because it's obvious. Then again, maybe they're expecting. I guess if you guys were all hunted rather than owned, you guys would have a lot less issues with talking to corporate fixers who know you personally and are just going to bully you into doing jobs. But yeah, it's you choose one from the list. If you roll 7 and 9, it's not a separate ambush. You are paid in full. The employer is identifiable, and he doesn't attract attention from outside parties. You learn something. Everybody mark experience.
Burnt.
And you would roll. I mean, I think you're going to roll pretty decently. You guys wrapped up the leg clock pretty good. Yeah, you've got 3 segments left, so it's +3. You guys have definitely had shittier legwork segments.
Yes.
I think in this time you guys were like, I mean, I don't know if other than just I showed off the outline, I don't think there's anything I want to talk about specifically with Starcourt. I kind of want everything to be fresh to you guys. And just imagine I'm going to sit here with my fucking hands folded in front of my face, you know, just cat smiling to myself about every single moment somebody goes, what the fuck? That's all I want. I just want a lot of what the fucks, and I just want to sit here and enjoy myself. And maybe catapult one of you into the void of space. Or the Pleistocene, or, you know, the Sahara Desert, something funny. Yeet ye beyond time and space.
Bye.
But we'll see what happens. But yeah, what I was saying about like this time's legwork, I feel like this session you guys were almost like struggling for extra legwork. You were like, is there anything else we can do or should do?
Well,
and I gave you some suggestions, and some stuff you were just like, nah, it's fine.
No, it's just one of those things of, I think it's because the job is a little straightforward, you know?
Yeah, you thought it was straightforward.
And we did, and then we get there and we're just like, wait a minute. Shout out to Dallas.
Then I handed you the complications that were there the whole time, and you were like, ah, fuck. But yeah, shout out to Dallas.
Yeah, because Dallas, you know, like missing persons, and, you know, got that, and it's just like, wait a minute. And we also had the complications of we're expecting the rustlers just to, you know, teleport behind us and be like, it's totally personal, kid.
Yeah, we'll see how I'll probably handle it in either a couple of narrative blocks or rolls. You got to like leave the canyons. I will be starting with because that's where Dallas left off last time, was he plugged into the Matrix because he realized that he's got the phone of the person you've got in the icebox is on and transmitting. Like, oh no. But you'll have to get out of the canyons, and then you'll have to drive across town. I think you guys decided north route. So you're going to cut up through Vallejo Towers. You know, you're just going to casually drive by all of Cross Nexus's transport network on maglevs and, you know, all the Suzaku naval base and port shit.
Yep.
Fine. It's fine. Then you're going to go to the north side and hopefully avoid driving next to any northwest fields. We'll see how well that works for you.
Listen, if I have to blow up, if I have to shoot, I might just shoot some northwest shit. Actually, I'll probably get me my violence. Oh, look, there's some northwest territory. Destroy it! Perfect.
There's a truck full of northwest oranges blocking your path.
It's exploded.
Squirrel goes to turn on his blinker. Just hears... Problem solved.
It explodes. Everything smells like oranges. You're welcome.
You know, it is an essential oil. We'll see what shakes out. I'm ready for tomorrow.
I'm excited.
We always have fun with the sprawl.
Where did I put that fucking thing?
I mean, I think if you're gonna pick prudent, you should keep it as it is. You know, the solving a charge situation without violence. That's what you want. You're like, This is tense. This could break out into a fight. What if we didn't? And then Claymore is like, what if we did? Actually, honestly, Violent's the other way around. Violent is, this is a peaceful process. We could solve this completely non-violently. And then Claymore's like, finger guns. Nah. I could just pay this man money to do what I want, but what if I put him in a headlock? Give him a swirly. But yes, I enjoy our fluff sessions. Like I said, I've currently got a little tickle in my brain about music. Trying to think of musical genres, but I'll roll back to that. I'll talk to you guys about other weird shit you want to include. Lucky's yawning a lot. I'm yawning a lot.
Yeah, I'm a bit tired.
Anything in my notes? Yeah, no, nothing in my notes. We've been going for almost 3 hours. We could wrap up.
Yeah, let's call it quits.
Okay. All right. I hope you've enjoyed watching Lucky dig tunnels for 3 hours.
I did a lot of digging.
Ooh, a little bit of an internet hiccup there.
Oops.
But yeah, no, it seemed relaxing. But okay. All right. Obviously, if you haven't already, if you're interested in this stuff we talked about, go back and check out the Sprawl AP, not only the one we did, but the whole playlist. We have if you just like the world building talk, we have a literal 5-hour session 0 where we sketched out a lot of our earliest version of this stuff, if you just need to kill some time. If this week's Let's Talk FGO wasn't time consuming enough for you, with its hour and a half length.
Jesus.
Yeah. I joked about how it's got a rare Sleepy Lucky in it, but yeah, it's a little short. It's okay. We got plenty of stuff. We got an AP. You can check out all kinds of things. I mean, the prog this week is 4 fucking hours, so I'd appreciate if you want to watch that one, but I understand there's not necessarily a huge overlap there in terms of the, vast difference in views. But anyway. Go check that out if you want some more action of us. Obviously, look forward to the AP. If you want more streaming, be sure to tune in Monday. Lucky will be continuing Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. He's going to do the Sand Ship Dungeon, which I understand is fairly popular with people. I had a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably do some test games in a sec, Loth. I have to, set up the edit and stuff. But I know you've been hunting for test games and not finding anybody as is usual. So there was, check out all that stuff. Keep your eye on the prize for more Sprawl. And more Delta Green, obviously, when we get to that. So, in that case, it's time for the full outro. Roll my neck around. So, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. This is where I shame the 12 concurrent viewers and the 5 likes. How dare. Shame. Shame. So, give us a like if you liked it. If you got any comments, you can leave in the comment section down below. You can also join our Discord. That link is always in the video description and on our channel page. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We're getting pretty close to 3,100. I'd love to jump that gap over a week or so. Speed jump. Go ahead and sub. If you want to direct us to business questions, is it on the channel page? Twitter. Oh, I don't have it. Let me make sure I get the actual address. Because I do technically have a... Damn it, Google. No, don't do that. We do have a Gmail. I'm trying to check it, but mail Google is being weird. I think it's... I don't want to add me to this because I'm signed in as me. I want to do a different one. Oh, that's my Yahoo, man. Damn it, Chrome. Why are you asking me these questions at the end of the show, people? Ask these at the start of the show so I can troubleshoot. Here you go. Google.com, Gmail. Oh, okay. I think there's a problem with that right now. It's Studio you to make it something. We have a Gmail. Ask me about it later. I can't look it up right now. I think Google is actually having problems with that. That is a slight issue because I would like to check the business email, but I cannot because Google's being weird. I will try to remember and set up a link for it though on our YouTube channel thing somewhere. We don't exactly get a lot of business emails, so it's not like high on my list of things. Anyway, sub. That's cool. Sub to us. If you've already subbed, you can hit the bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. And lots of other fun things. And you can also support our channel memberships, get access to membership badges and emotes, etc., etc. And of course, like I said at the front of the show, you can support us on Patreon. You can get access to us early, lots of other goodies. You can get access to the audio version of this podcast and our APs. Still is $1 a month or roughly $10 a year. And it really helps support us. That's everything I got. So I think that's what's up for this week.
All right. We'll call it here. See everyone next time.
Next time, everybody.